Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right, we rolling.
Out of watermark.
All right, everybody, man. Welcome back. Welcome back. Missed y'all from last week. We back in the place to be. Welcome to our freestyle with my people, folk up in the building. My dog, Food, the trap therapist, hanging out to the left of me. Down, bottom, holding down. Let's be crystal clear. My girl, Crystal. Last week we talked about colorism. I got a lot of feedback on it, a lot of positive feedback on it. It's just one of those hot button topics. So we're gonna continue with it. We left out an integral part of the basis of colorism when it comes to who you want to select as a mate, who you want to procreate with, and what kind of complexion you want your kids to be. That's I think the heaviest shit that oddly I think a lot of people dance around. You know, whenever we're talking about colorism, we often talk about jobs and bullying and name calling, all that kind of shit. But nobody really ever wants to get into the psychology behind how you choose a mate, what you base it on, what kind of kids you want to have, all that kind of shit. So, I think, that's kind of stuff people stay away from. And I think because to admit shit like that in writing, be it in social media or, in conversation or anywhere else is might have you look a certain way, right?
Yeah.
So we had this planned last week. We did not know that Joe Biden was going to come out with his vice presidential candidate selection yesterday. The junior senator from California, Ms. Kamala Harris, who accepted the nomination and will be Joe Biden's running mate. For those all who, I'm sure everybody knows, but you should know, she ran in the presidential primary for his spot. She did that unsuccessfully. In my amateur political opinion, she ran a very underwhelming campaign and, was out relatively quick. She stayed longer than she should have stayed, to be honest with you. She was out, out long before she actually officially conceded. But her as a vice presidential pick is interesting for a lot of different reasons. It has torn apart the Black community. We are at war with one another over Vice President Harris, which if y'all follow the page, I kind of called this a while ago. I put up a post last week saying that she would not unify the Black vote like Joe Biden probably thought she would.
Yeah.
A lot of people got a lot of problems with her. And we can get into the political shit, but one of the main problems people have with her is her Blackness or lack thereof, dog. So Kamala Harris is Indian and Jamaican. So her mother's Indian, her father is Jamaican. However, she was born here in the United States. She is you said what?
I said use a nigger.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Even in me explaining this, I don't really know what the fuck we talking about, but we gonna talk about it. Yeah. So her daddy Jamaican, her mama Indian. Cool. So she's definitely of color, but I think she's Black. She was born here in the United States, which I mean, how many Black folks here aren't first generation Black folks from they people from another country that still get to be considered Black, right? My dog to the left of me. She went to Howard, which doesn't necessarily make you Black. Where you go to school don't make you Black, but I mean she had the HBCU experience. So she has lived her life pretty Black. And when I say pretty Black, I'm not saying that Black looks a certain way, but she hasn't been anti-Black in her rhetoric. And a lot of people bring up her saying she's Indian American. I mean, she is. She got a point. Like, I mean, that is part of her heritage. So you identifying with your mama family doesn't mean you negate your daddy family. So you know, I've been getting a lot of feedback on the comment section and in my DMs. Stay the fuck out of them. About her not being black, and it's an interesting debate that that we're having, that somehow she has to prove um her blackness. And I wonder if her daddy, who is dark skinned, if she came out more like him, would that even be the conversation?
Yeah. I don't know. I think a lot of what I've been seeing, I think, which adds to the conversation about her blackness in terms of like her actual like ethnicity and racial, you know, all of that, which is clear she's a black woman. We're not gonna argue that fact. At least I'm not. I think the issue a lot of people I'm seeing is, I think, in how she herself identifies, and I guess her proximity to blackness, and what it has it done more like harm than good as a district attorney, or like her past, and a lot of how that plays into the conversation. And I think even like us talking about her, you know, the colorism aspect of her being light skinned or her identifying with her blackness in one way, shape, or form, I think it just adds and compounds to it. The fact that like she has a history of locking up black folks. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's something too to add to it, where we're at a place where we've kind of forgotten that our politicians, no matter what they look like, whether they black, white in America, all pretty much have compromised pasts. Right. So I think we can have that conversation, which is a real one, and we can definitely put everybody up against the wall. And I think it's necessary. But I think like what we're spending our time on now, I think it just kind of like really is the point of this conversation, is like, does blackness have a new definition, and is it based on like your ability to identify with us? And at the end of the day, regardless of whether or not you look like me, like what does being black mean? I think that's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like what does it mean, you know what I'm saying, in 2020 at this point? Because I think that's the thing. It's like, if you're yourself not identifying with black culture while you may be black, I think that kind of compounds the light skin issue. Is, you know what I'm saying, that posturing, like you like to say, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you spent your whole life kind of being able to move through some spaces that everybody can't move through. So now it's like, hey, you know, can we hold you accountable in this new position? Can we hold you accountable with this new responsibility? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So my thoughts, I'm gonna tread lightly because that is my soror.
There you go. There you go.
Tread lightly.
No, you gotta sweat her too. You gotta sweat her too. We sweat everybody right.
Yeah, as much as we done drug Jesse, we done drug Jesse up and down.
So my thoughts, two different thought patterns, right? On two different wavelengths, right? So the first one comes from the comment that you made, and we talked about it a little bit last week, which is the colorism aspect of it, and people feeling like, is this black enough, right? And so the conversation that we had last week, it really lingered with me, the Beyonce comment, and it stuck with me so much because whatever comment that was on your page that said, oh, she hasn't been for the black community, whatever, it really triggered me, I guess, because I felt like she had been, but it triggered me because I feel like lighter skinned women have to prove themselves so much more in the black community. And I think their blackness, our blackness, is always questioned. And I never see that same question to darker skinned women. And so in this case, like you said, like her skin color being fair, being light, is part of the debate of her being black enough, because I can imagine if her skin color was darker, if the same conversation would be, because I don't hear that conversation for darker skinned women, right? And so, you know, I even go back to my experiences in school, and I could take, you know, one of my best friends at the time was a very dark skinned girl, and she spoke very intelligently and everything, but nobody ever told her she talked like she's white. I always got that, you know what I'm saying, that comment or whatever. So it's like I feel like that's one stance of the fight of that aspect of colorism. On the other stance, when I originally heard the announcement, my exact thought was, she's Black enough for them. And it was a smart move for them because it's like, you know, and if people who've been watching the page and watching us, you know, everybody knows my stance is I always feel like Black women are at the bottom of the totem pole. That has been my ongoing thing. And so to take the closest thing that they can, that's comfortable for them to Black, right? And to say, we're going to get this Black woman so that it appeases them, but it's not much of a Black woman that makes us uncomfortable. It's still a Black woman who I'm sure she has a white husband. I think I researched.
She got a white husband. Yeah,
white, you know what I'm saying? So it's like at the end of the day, y'all still got somebody who makes y'all feel safe, who makes y'all feel comfortable. You know what I mean? So my two different aspects on it is, would this have been the same case if she was darker? Because I know at one point in time when the question of Oprah was running or Michelle was running, you know what I mean? We wonder like why those women didn't take that chance, opportunity, whatever the case may be, and why this is the case, and why the circumstances, the chances happen to be a fair-skinned woman.
I think that's an excellent analysis of kind of the duality, a double-edged sword of being lighter skinned. I do want to just peel it back, just for, and not for y'all two, but just for anybody watching, because I've said this for 2 days now. Kamala Harris was a district attorney, right? So the narrative of her locking up Black men or Black people, that's what all of them do. So I think we've never seen a district attorney rise to this level. So I think we've seen people be state senators, and then a lieutenant governor, and then a governor, and then a senator, and then they're president, vice president. So, but a DA, that's their job, and not their job to lock up Black men per se, but they run off conviction rates. So we just had Kim Gardner get elected here, or get reelected, right? And the whole world rallied around Kim Gardner because she actually filed charges against the McCluskeys who had the guns pointed at us, blah blah blah. So she's been down for the cause like this entire time, right?
Yeah.
Kim Gardner touts a 97% conviction rate. That's what she runs on, right? Yeah. This St. Louis dirty. I'm here to tell you, 97%.
You locking your cousins up, my nigga.
Like you talking about Black folks. And I don't know enough about what she's doing and not doing to say it's right or wrong, but that's her job. So if she ever wants to run for something outside of a DA, if I'm her opponent, that's what I'm gonna bring up, right? But that's the story across the board. So while I get the notion, it's not exactly fair based on the job qualifications, right? And even within that, we can go into she locked up mothers for kids missing school. When you actually look at it, she locked up moms who had their kids selling drugs. So it's a whole lot to it. But again, I think that packages into her not having 2 Black parents. I think that packages into her going to Howard, and maybe it's an HBCU, but it's not Mississippi Valley, it's not Alcorn, it's not Prairie View. You know what I'm saying? That goes into her being an AKA, and maybe not a Zeta, maybe not an SG Row. You know what I'm saying? So even in your Blackness, you're still put in a light where you're riding above the waves of what Black people consider struggle. Because what we do is we as a people collectively equate Blackness with how hard you struggle. And we do it everywhere. We do it in like jokes. When you used to watch Comic View and Def Comedy Jam, all niggas make jokes about is food stamps and welfare and government cheese sandwiches, and we were so broke, we were so this, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you having things that are attributed to privilege, whether they're true or not. I know it's probably a gang of people at Howard barely making it. It's a gang of AKAs who came up out the mud, you know what I'm saying? But in the image of Blackness, they don't necessarily get that connotation, right?
Yeah.
And then you top that with the fact that she looks how she looks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So and so you automatically become, like we talked about last week, the motherfucking high school that everybody hate. And why do you hate me? And when you ask them, they can't really say nothing, but she thinks she all that.
Yep.
She stuck up. Well, based on what? Based on
Right.
nothing. Based
Right.
on nothing.
Right.
But you can't tell them otherwise.
Yep.
I think it's kind of. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just like to say, it's just like if your skin is a certain color, or a certain, you know, tone or whatever, and you carry yourself, you know what I'm saying, with your with esteem or whatever, you're automatically discredited as, you know what I'm saying, whatever else as in the negative way. And then speaking on real quick on what Mike had just said, I think something also that our culture has a bad tendency of doing is writing people off and saying they're not Black or they're not for us when they hold us accountable. And I feel like a lot of times, if we are not giving our people the hookup, if we're not looking out, then we're automatically already like, oh, y'all, you know what I mean? And so I feel like that's another struggle for successful Black people, because you have that weight, that cloud hanging over you of, I have to constantly reach back. And then if there's ever a boundary put in place where you cut it off, then they're going to still say the same thing regardless.
But I want to throw this out there because I think what happened when I was listening to Mike and talk about like Kamala, I just immediately thought to Michelle Obama, and I think about the ways in which she endears to American society and really Black society. And I think it's the ability for her, like, that it transcends barriers of like class. So I think the people from the hood in Chicago feel comfortable with a Michelle the same way a dignitary from a foreign country would feel comfortable with Michelle, right? So I think a challenge for Ms. Harris, you know, moving forward, and I think it's a conversation that we should be able to have. I don't like the fact that with people, right, regardless of what a past, we kind of relegate people to what they've done and don't give them opportunity for growth. Like this woman coming into being a vice president, so yeah, we're gonna be able to challenge her in different ways. So I don't know you. Honestly, I have not even researched into Kamala Harris, so I don't like to speak on things that I'm not well versed in. So it's like, okay, if I don't know you and I'm at the end of the day meeting you for the first time, then I'm taking at face value what you're giving me and allowing you the space to be whatever I bring to this situation. So I look at it like we're having these conversations online. I see a lot of what she's done, but my thing is, can we put challenges out there into the universe to say, hey, okay, we see this your past, we gonna hold you accountable, like you just said, Crystal, with love. But at the end of the day, like we would like to see these things so that we can feel. But I think it was something for me around how we kind of associate color with being better. All right, the idea of just like, again, the idea of better. So for her, how can you now like make sure people understand like, okay, what seems to be your path of you being able to kind of move through the world as a light-skinned, attractive woman? Like, can you actually identify with the individuals who see you as the enemy, who see you as the system, right? They don't see you as one of the like people that don't see you as a Black woman. They don't identify with you. So I think it's kind of less of us identifying with her and her ability to identify with us from this vantage point. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to be a lot of it, regardless of what we feel about it. The Hotep community, the conspiracy, whatever. A lot of the rhetoric that I see on different pages and different channels in Black spaces is really more so tearing down her ability to actually serve us or actually benefit us. So my thing is, okay, in having these conversations, I think about the psychological aspect of it. It's like when we see this woman, we don't see any ability to grow. We see somebody who's stagnant. We don't see somebody who can actually meet us where we are. So that kind of, like you said, lends that question, Crystal, do we kind of limit the Beyoncés of the world, the Kamalas of the world to who they are as we see them and don't give them space to grow, whereas everybody else can glow up and do their thing and become, you know what I'm saying? Whereas the pretty girl may be the pretty girl, but don't mean she's conscious or aware of her power. Your power ain't necessarily in your pretty, or in your color. So I think that's something too for people. Like, are we giving people the space to actually grow, and how do we kind of unlearn some of that conditioning that says like, yeah, light is better, and this is actually what we want.
Yeah, and that's another problem that it really gets under my skin is this council culture. And so to answer your question, I don't feel like we give ourselves room to grow. I feel like if people hold you on a pedestal, there is no error, there is no mistake. Like you gotta be, and it bothers me so much because it's so unrealistic. And it's like the morality of it is, treat people how you want to be treated. And yet it's okay, like you said, for us to make mistakes. It's okay for us to develop. It's okay for us to get drunk and act out of character, whatever. But if you're on this, and I get, in certain cases, what I'm saying, like your platform, you have a responsibility. But a lot of times these people still be in their personal worlds. And even in their personal worlds, they're still held to such perfectionist standard, you know what I mean? And kind of like the example that Mike gave last week of, when a person is doing their job, like the State Farms guy, you know what I'm saying? Like you can go and work for corporate man, and we understand that. And so in the sense of, Ms. Harris, whatever, Mrs. Harris, it's like you said, well, we can't identify that she's doing her job. We don't identify that. What we identify with is just the surface level of this one fact that we know, or this one fact that we've heard, because a lot of people haven't heard, a lot of people just heard it. And it's like there is no logical thinking, processing behind it, saying, okay, well, this is what happened. Let's think about why this happened. Let's think, and I'm not saying that her decisions and whatever is correct, but at the same time, I think about, on the very minimum comparison, like if I go to Zaxby's and I want an extra Zax sauce, they're gonna do their job and charge me 25 cents. Do I think it's fair? I need another sauce with my chicken fingers. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they're doing their job. See them in the street and be like, oh, I remember you did your job and charged me 25 cents. You know what I'm saying? Like we provide room for when we want to, and to who we want to, and to what class of people we want to, but not to others.
Well, here go the thing. You touched on, doing a job. There's a lot of niggas out here who don't know what the vice president's job even is. There's a lot of niggas out here who don't know what the job of a United States senator even is. There's a lot of niggas out here who don't know what the job of a DA is. So it's kind of it's like you said, you want her to say as soon as I get in office, I'm running through every prison with a motherfucking key and letting niggas out. Like it is that blind perception of this needs to happen, and you don't even know from when or what parameters they're working out of. And to say, again, not to keep harping on it, but I don't stand Mrs. Harris. I don't. I'm not the biggest fan of the world. I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. I'm not a huge fan of her. Now I salute her for what she done and how far she's climbed as a Black woman. My daughter love her, so you know what I'm saying. And representation is important. So if she's like the first debate she ever watched, she watched it because it was the Democratic primaries and she was in it. So again, salute her. But am I a fan of her policy in totality? I'm not. But do I understand that in politics, you won't find anybody who will have a total policy you agree with, from Obama to literally anybody. Like they gonna do shit, you're gonna be like, I don't fuck with it. That's part of the game. But I think we, or a lot of us, wants everybody to act like they the bouncer who can get niggas in the club for free. And like in the way, so if I don't come out giving you this hookup culture, like I'm running for vice president, I got y'all niggas.
Yep.
Got y'all niggas. Like, just wait on it. And it's like, dog, it don't necessarily work like that. Like everybody can't get that shit off. So you wonder why the hate, even though it's clouded behind, past record and, all that kind of shit. Why is it so loud? Now I was in college when Obama won the first time. I was actually online when he won. I was in a basement. But we were I don't remember. I remember niggas talking about he ain't gonna do shit, woo woo woo, but it wasn't as loud. You know, when you have, you know, Marion Barry, I don't know if y'all familiar. He's the 3-time mayor of DC back in the 90s, the 80s, yeah, the 90s. Boy got caught with crack in a motel room twice. 3 terms as mayor. 3 motherfucking terms. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it can't be about moral aptitude because we pick and choose. And Mary Barron was a dark-skinned black man, but it can't be about moral aptitude because we pick and choose who we assign it to. So it can't be about her record fully. Now there are some people out there who it is literally about her record, cool. But for the most part, people are screaming, hollering, and yelling about, like you said, something that folks ain't really even researched about.
Yeah.
So again, what is it really about? Like, nah, nigga, fuck all that. What's the real problem? The real problem. And I think the real problem is the notion that she has been able to fly above the hazards of being black. And now she's been put on, you know, basically. And, you know, people want to have her admit that it's because she's light-skinned, because she's privileged. I was talking to Big Homie, you know, Amanda Seales, and I won't go into the whole conversation, but she's brought up that point. Like, a lot of now folks are kind of talking about her and colorism, and she was like, her pushback on it is people want me to attribute all of my success to me being light-skinned. And she was like, I can't do that. I won't do that. It's not even true. You're like, so, but anything short of that is not good enough. So I felt that, like that's a real thing. So you can acknowledge privilege, but if you don't give up all of your success in totality, then for a lot of people, again, not everybody, but for a lot of people, that's not good enough. You only where you are because you light skinned. You only got this because, you know, you yellow. You only got blah, blah, blah because of this. And some of why I have it is true. I'll admit it. Like, yeah, some of it is. Like, people look at me some people look at me a certain way and I get certain allowances because of my complexion. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Also because of my education. Also because of my socioeconomic background. Also because of, you know what I'm saying? So I got a lot of boxes to check off, right? So to get into the topic we're talking about, if that's such a problem, why do we covet light-skinned mates and light-skinned babies if we're not going to raise them in an environment where they can be black in totality and accepted as such? I know girls who talk cash shit about light-skinned girls. And again, this is just an example, my personal experience. So this isn't paint a brush with everybody, because you got to say this shit nowadays. But I knew girls who talk cash shit about light-skinned girls just because they were light-skinned, but would always want a light-skinned boyfriend. And that's not to say, you know, light-skinned boys are the victims of, you know, people finding us attractive. It's not a victimization thing. But it is a backwards way of thinking that you want proximity to complexion, but at the same time you hate it. How does that work? And I'm not a mental health professional, so I'm leaning on y'all too, because I don't know how to fuck that works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes back to I think for me personally, and I look at it like my daughter's mother is your color, Mike. So I personally had to sit with, you know, understanding how people view color, and again, color and its proximity to power and comfort and your ability to live, especially being in the Deep South. So it's like being in like you know, raising a daughter in a place like Alabama, it's kind of forced me to sit with, again, proximity to access. You see what I'm saying? You see a lot of the socialization, a lot of the interracial couples, the interracial families, because I think here it's easier for people to maneuver that way. And I think that generations of conditioning that says like you always got that one in the family, or you got your granddaddy, you had a white, one white part of the family. It's culture down here. It's a part of society. So it's always a thing where I think we don't talk about it a lot. We don't talk about it enough. But I think the access and the ease, right, of privilege to say, okay, well, this child has some proximity to whiteness. Mm-hmm. And we don't just say that. But at the end of the day, what it says is okay, this child may be smarter, may come from a better background. If the child presents as being, attractive, it kind of goes into, the uncomfortable conversations about how people really kind of sexualize children. Like, I got homegirls, I got partners that'll be like, man, I got a homegirl that want her a light-skinned nigga so bad, and like literally post babies with blue eyes and green eyes, and is like, nah, this is the child that I want. And we joke about it, but at the end of the day, I think on a deep level, it goes back to what you find is beautiful in Black.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us, we was raised in, we the latchkey kids. So we was raised on the videos and the video vixen. So the idea of beautiful for Blackness it's a real aesthetic now. It's a very real aesthetic. So it looks like what we see now. It looks like a lot of, light skin, thick, pretty eyes, the foreign look, anything mixed, Blasian, that idea of that Black being beautiful, right? So what I think on the inverse is kind of like, okay, where we see in our spaces where you have individual, where now you're trying to find a collective consciousness amongst Black people of all shades, is now where you're taking this conditioning that says this Black is beautiful, but a lot of people who are amplified, like have amplified voices in this space, aren't necessarily the beautiful people. It's not necessarily, you see what I'm saying? It's not necessarily the models, the video vixens, the ones that are advocating heavily for all Black people, advocating for, you see what I'm saying? So even aesthetically, I think to kind of on the inverse of that is, okay, the challenge comes where now you have to shift the culture to where the beautiful people are all advocating for the people that's not so desirable. You see what I'm saying? Where now, like, I think because that at the core of it for me is where you see a lot of the personal insecurities kind of manifest themselves in these conversations about Kamala Harris being a Black woman. Because it's like, okay, if at the end of the day, you've been told that this was beautiful and you're not that Black and you're not that woman, then at the end of the day, like, that now blinds you to anything good coming from over there. Yeah. Because in your experience, those types of Black women don't advocate for your Blackness. You see what I'm saying? Those Black women ain't them. They ain't not assisting you up. They not. You see what I'm saying? The pretty girls. There's still real pretty girl sections out here. There's still that exclusivity. It's still you can't sit with us. Culture. I'm from Atlanta, so that's all we doing on the weekend. Right. You feel what I'm saying? So that's something I think when we had this conversation, I think it's really important to have, because you got to start challenging the pretty people of the world. You know what I'm saying? Man, you have to love. We have to have that collective conversation, because it's less about. I think at the core we talk about her record and this and this and this. I think it's not about that. It's, can I see you and talk to you as a person? Can you see me? Can I see you? And I think at the core of it, in these spaces, what we don't acknowledge is that people are very vulnerable, very transparent, dealing with real issues, real insecurities, and so the lashing out. And the projecting that we're seeing collectively onto, Kamala is just, I think, what we have to sit with. The fact that a lot of us don't necessarily see ourselves and our brothers and sisters who may be the opposite of what we were told we were as, who we were told we were as kids. If you're the aesthetic of what, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had partners, I think that's something, let's talk about it. I think that's something kind of going into the kids conversation. To know that, like, my circle, I think we talk about this on too, Mike, like my circle, my partners, we were the alphas, I guess, so to speak, right? So we was the top dogs. But I knew in the end of the day, like, I had partners who was Puerto Rican and Black. I had partners who was, you know what I'm saying, like, they was cut the fuck up, like, these niggas was Greek guys, they was built like, you know what I'm saying, Adonis type niggas, right? So even in the group, we the ones that's chosen, but I'm understanding like pecking order. Like these niggas, they get chose first. You know what I'm saying? Like I was okay with that. Like in the awareness piece that comes in to say like, okay, like these my brothers, like ain't no competition, ain't no like, bro, that's like, I look how I look, nigga, I'm me. You see what I'm saying? So I had to sit with that piece first and know that like his power had nothing to do with my power. You know what I'm saying? Because you could fuck them, but I could actually sit with them, talk to them, date them, be friends with them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Stuff y'all I can do that y'all can't. So going into a conversation like this, I think about the fact that like again, in our counterparts and our peers, how do we build bridges across those barriers, right? How do we build bridges to say, okay, like your power, my power might not be your power, but collectively we got power. Can we work with this shit together? Because I think that's the part where we don't see ourselves in each other. We don't see ourselves in, you know what I'm saying, our peers that may not necessarily look like us.
Yeah. I'm on the same wave as you. I think a lot of it deals with the subconscious that has been ingrained in us without us knowing. And it's little small cues that are being inserted so over time that we not overtly seeing it, you know what I'm saying? But it's planted there and then the seed is growing. And then we have this whole colorism because we don't understand why we feel like this about our own sister or brother. We don't understand. You know what I mean? And I think part of it, like you said, or Mike said, is the proximity to whiteness, right? And because that seed had been planted to say white is better, white is power, white, and these features or whatever is what'll get you there, then subconsciously it kind of starts to make a person feel like, this is what better is, you know what I mean? And even in our own culture. So when we look at like different rap, R&B videos or whatever case is, you know what I'm saying? When we see the girls that are known for being in these videos, those girls are chosen because of those cues that were already planted in those artists, producers, directors, whoever mind. And now they're inflicting that on everybody that's watching. So now kids are watching and everybody's watching, but these are the girls who they are lusting out there. These are the girls who they like. These are the girls, you know what I'm saying, who we're always seeing, just kind of like how we see stuff on commercials. Once you consistently see something for a long time, you begin to believe it. And I think because as adults, it's planted within us, and now we're putting that one to the kids. I remember watching this show, Family or Fiance. I thought I was gonna say Love and Hip Hop, Family or Fiance, and
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
One of the issues that the girl was having was that her fiance's best friend made a comment about her twin daughters. One of her twin daughters was darker, one was lighter. And he told her that the lighter girl was prettier and why the other one looked like that. And her fiance couldn't understand why she had such a problem with his best friend saying that. But it's like, and he was like, well, I didn't mean nothing by it. But you think you didn't mean nothing by it because for you, it comes so natural. That's your natural way of thinking. But now what you've done is inflicted that on the child. So now the child is going to look at her twin sister and say, we look exactly the same. The only thing now that I'm noticing is that I see, and so now she begins to feel that way. And now the lighter skinned twin, can possibly feel like, oh, that must mean I'm prettier because, you know what I'm saying? So now that seed has been planted. So I feel like it's a lot of different subconscious cues that are just inserted over time that people are not intentionally aware about. You know what I mean? And I think that was part of the purpose of Beyonce's Brown Skin Girls, is to acknowledge and so that we can start seeing that, hey, girls are beautiful in all these other different shades too. I understand that we fantasize and we have glamorized the lighter skinned girls, but hey, let's start doing these for all the different shades of women and start glamorizing them, so that once we're seeing this on a consistent basis, now we're understanding that, hey, this is beautiful too. And I think that's what the wave per se is kind of like getting to now, is everybody is kind of like, oh, I like black, oh, my skin, because now they're understanding and they're seeing it a little bit more than what has been seen in the past.
I think, and I agree, and that's very insightful. I want to touch on something you just said though. Now that because I think there is a movement when we're talking about the aesthetics being more accepted, quote unquote, and I say more accepted, not totally accepted. that you are getting a motherfucker like, you know, a Beyonce really wanting to highlight, you know, all different hues of, you know, what beautiful actually is. And, you know, and you do have people out there who do advocate that, but like Fu said, there are a ton of people out there who still don't. But even with that, how impactful is that if we're really not doing the communal and personal therapeutic work to tear down what those cues are, like what we've actually been taught about, like Fu said, recognizing one another despite looking completely different. Because I mean, we can have Instagram photos of, you know, dark skinned women with afros all day long, and that's great, that's fine. But you know, it still keeps us sectioned away from bringing it together a lot of times, because it still gives us the like either or, not not together. It's okay, she's beautiful or she's beautiful. I'm in a light-skinned dudes, I'm in a dark-skinned dudes. I'm in a light-skinned girl, I'm in a dark-skinned girl.
Natural hair sewing.
Exactly. Natural hair. So and who you choose isn't about you know, just attraction on these kind of levels. It's more about a political statement. You know what I'm saying? If my wife was like my color, people would say something about that. Despite why I chose her, you know what I'm saying? You know, people would say something. So you know, and you know, vice versa. So we have to do more work than just visibility. Visibility is important, but if we're not gonna talk about why we're even on opposite ends to begin with, what good would it really do?
That's the having no uncomfortable conversations. It's like, how do you across? I think that's something that's kind of where we sit with like our relationships. I think men and women, especially at this age, we have to just start having more dialogue around like what it means to actually like live together and love. You know what I'm saying? Like talking about the idea of what, you know, is desirable. What types of lives do we want to live? You know, I think the things that it's a lot of times like what we like in the dark gotta be what we like in the light. You know what I'm saying? So I think having those conversations around like what do we want our communities to look like and what does love look like for all of us, I think that's important. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times there are aesthetics, and then kind of even going into the WAP conversation, like with Meg and Cardi, right? The idea that there are aesthetics that a lot of us really love and fuck with, but there's also aesthetics that we've been conditioned and told like we can't actually live with and make a stable life out of. So that means certain types of women, certain shades of women, certain, you know what I'm saying, and vice versa, and certain types of men, certain shades of men, you know what I mean? So I think and it goes back to the challenge for the creators, the artists, the culture pusher forwarders, is we need to start having these dialogues more often around why do we like the things we like? Why do we fuck with what we fuck with? Who, you know what I'm saying? Who told us that we can't like marry a Cardi and also at the same time be a pastor? You know what I'm saying? Or at the same time be a politician. You know what I mean? Like that's something that we gotta normalize because that's what they do. Donald Trump is your fucking president. So you feel what I'm saying? Like that's the part where if we're aspiring to whiteness, let's see what we're aspiring to. Because if we can be as bold as them, maybe we can break out of some of this slavery and some of this mental slavery when it comes to what they do, what the fuck they want to do. So why are we still ascribing to having to stick to this model and mode of what Black excellence looks like? That's why I hate that Black excellence shit. I'll be honest with you. Like, because at the end of the day, it just looks like you said, cranberry niggas. Especially when you start, you know what I'm saying? You throw some Africans in there, now you got cranberry and malta niggas and soy niggas. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's shit that it fits an aesthetic, even with the dark skin, the fetishization of like dark skinned African men and this, that, and the third. Like, I want to talk about that shit too, because that idea, like you're perpetuating an aesthetic and not substance. You're not perpetuating culture. You're just perpetuating a look that a lot of that these companies now, Black Lives Matter, you see what I'm saying? So I think we have to be a lot more intentional about even how we're like really like positioning these conversations, because we can touch on like the root as to why we fuck with what we fuck with Black people, with Blackness in general.
Yeah.
but I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Food, your aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know, as a black man, I remember, you know, somebody saying they were talking about our group chemistry total, and it was all good shit.
Yeah.
And you know, and people were saying they want Crystal to, like, you know, get in there more, which, you know, we tell them that shit all the time.
Yeah.
But the rationale was, you know, food brings that sensitivity side to it, that emotional side to it, right? So, which I agree with. That's my nigga, right? But something else was said that was interesting,
Mhm.
and that was, he brings that woo woo woo, but it's surprising. And I was like, it's surprising.
Yeah. Let's
Now,
unpack that.
if you know food,
Yeah.
it's not surprising. It's not surprising at all that he can tap into that intimacy with himself and project that into the conversation. If you know my nigga, it's not I picked him for, you know, among a list of shit, but for that reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know food, you see a bald head, dark skinned dude.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to be emotional.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to have emotions.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be strong.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be, you know, stereotypically alpha.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't get to feel. You don't get to have it. You don't get to tap into it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what kind of emotional cage does that put dark-skinned folks in when you don't get to even release that type of emotion, that type of energy, because it doesn't match your aesthetic. So it's not even tolerated from you.
Yes, sir. Yeah. That is I think that's been like kind of one of the underlying, like, you know, challenges of my, like, identity journey, right? Like, how do I stay true to who I actually am as opposed to what the world sees me as? Because again, you got this big linebacker, black ass, like, I've been told I'm scary. I've been told I'm like this huge nigga. Like, I've been playing football forever. So the idea that I'm somebody who is powerful, right? The idea that I come from, like, I've always been given that, and I understand it, but I never identified with my power in that way. I never identified with my power in the physical because I just, like, ascribe that to, like, who I am. That's just what come with who I am. And my power was always in my ability to love. So now, because I'm black as fuck, now I have to learn early on how to break down and how to actually de-escalate people, how to break down barriers, how to actually, you know what I'm saying, like, really get people to feel me before they see me. So the idea of understanding how to work your energy and how to really, like, connect with people past this shit is something that, like, has had to be very intentional. And I didn't know what I was doing, or understand the words to what I was doing up until I got older. And it's really, I think that's where we kind of talk about the spiritual piece for black people. Like, white folks love me. Like, I don't fuck with white folks collectively, but individually they love me. Yeah. Like, I don't have no problem working with white people. And I think that's because at the end of the day, there is a very real, there's something that comes with being genuine and intentional with people and presenting your whole self. Like, I make no apologies for being African as fuck. I make no apologies for being Southside as fuck. I make no apologies for the conditions that I come from. I make no apologies for the mistakes that I make, because guess what? I wasn't raised here. I don't know y'all customs. So I come with all of myself in every situation. So I think, you know what I'm saying? I think, you know, a lot of the work that I do and even getting to black men and having us understand what it means to connect to people with our power emotionally. Like, our power is with our hearts, our love, the ability for us to feel as black men. That's why we're loved so much. That's why we create the magic that we do. That's why people are moved when we speak. That's why motherfuckers be on some, like, yeah, when we actually move in the right way. So if you can tap into that, and you can actually start to, like, stop being conditioned to, like, how people see you and get into what people feel from you, and it's like work with that. Like, that's the challenge for a lot of us. And I think the conversation really with black men is in this country specifically is, can we create safe spaces for men, black men specifically, that look like us, look like me, that come from that's rough around the edges, that were told they was ashy, dirty, crusty, You ain't never gonna be shit, never came from shit. Can we create safe spaces for those men to feel soft and powerful? Can you be soft and powerful at the same time? Can you not inflict harm on women and learn how to love and cultivate healthy relationships at the same time? But that's something that I think is our charge, because we talk a lot about why things are this way, but we ain't spending enough effort to actually make these young niggas feel beautiful. It's like, that's a different word for men.
Yeah, for men, beautiful, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You've been told you was fine, you was sexy, you know what I'm saying? All this show, like, nigga, do you feel beautiful? It's a different feeling, right? There's a sacredness to that. It's a holiness to that. It's I gotta move a little different, right? But that goes back to tapping into the feminine and some of the healing work I think collectively we have to do with that conversation around us and healing. That's why I love my healers are black, my teachers are black women, specifically the quote unquote undesirable black women. The women, that's why when I be naked on the internet, folks be like, what you doing? I'm like, bro, you have to understand the power and the work that's come that I did, like literally the growth and transformation personally that's come with me having to do the work that I've seen these black women do. Like, I was told my body wasn't the aesthetic and the desirable body type, but shit, in real life, everybody fuck with it. So how can I take what I know my experience to be to translate to some of these young men that use money, use drugs, use, you know what I'm saying, all the shit to be on some big dog shit when it's like, bro, you ain't even gotta do all that. It's like, you see what I'm saying? It's like, you don't have to kill yourself to feel this power. We'll crack for a moment in the sun, we'll crash out and burn out to feel that, as opposed to understanding that power, like, can we feel it over a long period of time?
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like going into that work to where I love this because it's that healing work. Yeah. What do we see as power? How do we define power?
For the record, everybody out there, out of the two of us, Food is the pretty nigga. Like
I'm sex with chocolate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like food is that. So I don't want y'all to think y'all ever see it like, oh, what,
we flip flop, man. Look.
Yeah, like it's hella flip flop. Food is the pretty.
Hey.
Let me ask y'all this. So, do y'all think that there is more space for a darker skinned guy to have that space of being sensitive, whereas if a light skinned guy was being sensitive, then his sexuality would be questioned then?
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. I mean, as being a light skinned guy, you automatically or inherently seen as soft, right? Mm-hmm. And so you almost have to be, hyper masculine in order just to be, accepted. So, it's kind of like, you walk into a room of, growing up, you walk into a room of like boys, and it's almost like some prison yard shit. You got to find the first nigga, you know what I'm saying, and goddamn swing on him. And like, for real. Because inside, niggas gonna try you. Because everything is a pecking order, right? So everybody looking to like jostle and kind of rank for like where you fit. And so you have to, and so niggas are gonna go after you literally because you light skinned. And me myself, I know you can't really see, but if y'all know me, I'm light skinned. I got light eyes. My eyes be green, gray, and blue that change color. So, I spent a lot of my life, I grew up with parents who just kind of sent me places. So I would be on baseball teams and basketball teams and, whatever else. So I spent a lot of my life having to fight for no other reason than I exist in this room, right? And so when you lose a fight, or if something happens, or whatever, and you cry about it, or you're emotional about it, because 8-year-old, 12-year-old, 15-year-olds, whatever, they're gonna be emotional. Yeah. You get taken to a place from an identity place that like you don't belong in. I know for a lot of, I'm not gonna speak for that, but for dark-skinned dudes, if they do show that emotion, it can be seen as maybe off-putting, surprising, but it can also be seen as like, a level of like attraction. I got this, dark chocolate nigga, whatever, fuck girl, and he's sensitive. Whereas me, if I'm sensitive, girl, he light-skinned ass nigga, boy, I can't, boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying, for real. So, and so for years, because I'm an inherently sensitive person. But it took me years to even be able to say that. Because on no day from age, I don't know, probably 9 to 29 would I have ever admitted that. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't tell you that I'm sensitive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then leave it there. Like the answer, well, I'm sensitive like this, blah, blah. Like I ain't gotta explain it. Now I'll tell you I'm sensitive. Now
sensitive equals weak.
Yeah, exactly. So and so now it's like I'm sensitive, nigga, I knew it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and now that's a slight against me. As opposed to because I'm sensitive, I'm also empathetic. You know what I'm saying? You know, so there are skills that come with being sensitive. But as a light-skinned person, you don't necessarily get to show that because as a man, they gonna hold it against you. You cry, you upset, you mad, whatever, they gonna hold it against you. So what you do, you hold that shit in. And you dead at 45 from motherfucking heart attack because, you know, when your mama dies, you ain't get to cry. When your motherfucking, you know what I'm saying, you know, you lost your job, you stressed out, you know, when you feel helpless, you don't get to do that because people are going to take that and say, you know what, he got too much going on. It's that light skin shit.
He too emotional.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, to give you a flip side to, you know, my experience is like, you know, early on in my life, I mastered the friend zone. And I think too, being dark skinned, just from my experiences and growing up and like now becoming an adult, something that even of late, something I had to kind of sit with, being, you know, becoming a man, is how do I intentionally date and how do I assert myself with women in a space where I'm having to be extremely mindful of me not causing harm, right? So the idea where like I have women in my life who are very beautiful, very powerful women. They got men that's like, they got a long list, right? Something that I see is a lot of their interests. Again, this is some of the stereotypical shit, but it's the true shit. The idea that a lot of the light skin, you know what I'm saying, like the stereotypically desirable men are the ones who necessarily get passes for the fuck shit and passes for a lot of the, you know what I'm saying, shit that the niggas who really busting their ass don't get passes for. So to speak just with my clients even, like, you know what I'm saying, like primarily black women who are my clients. And there's a lot of times cycles and you see a lot of the repetition of these traits. Now necessarily they might not be light-skinned traits, but they're desirable traits. He got good sex. He having a bankroll. He, you know what I'm saying, he does XYZ that appeases my desires. And so I've noticed that in certain ways, like, you know, that kind of going back to the colorism piece, you'll see where we kind of do play into that shit, that, you know what I'm saying, the hip hop shit. Like, let me have the most money. Let me dress the best. Let me have this. Let me be the most desirable in the group. And then I won't have to necessarily develop my personal power.
To flip that though, with you, you know, I remember, you know, and this is like looking back, I've always liked feminine energy. Yeah. And not in the sense of even romantically, but just like I've always liked having homegirls. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that, like I just, and mainly because, you know, if you get to know me, I like to talk. You know what I'm saying? So even when, you know, I'm fucking with E, I'm cool with E line sisters because I like having homegirls. You know what I'm saying? So this is what it is, right? But being in it, and it's a safe space for me because they eat line sisters, but for, you know, growing up, you never really get to have that we just cool. Because being, and I'm not saying being light-skinned, but checking off a lot of boxes, it's, you know, for certain women, this the kind of nigga you need to take it to the next level.
Yeah, you know, you're desirable. Yeah.
So and again, I'm not saying motherfuckers were throwing their panties at me walking around, no shit like that. But what I'm saying is, like, eventually you get hit with the, like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, clearly we just, you know, when I know this is cool. Now the immature 20, 19, 21-year-old nigga, well, I mean, shit, nigga did what it, you know what I'm saying? And then you up in that. and then some fuck shit, right? But originally the play was I just like kicking it. I just, you know what I'm saying? Like
And see, that goes back to that emotional intelligence piece, right? We're not given the verbiage to say that,
right.
or we're not taught how to actually say, hey, I actually really just want to be a friend. And we're not given the space to, like, what do we do with sex? What do we do with friendship after sex? Right? What do we do with our relationship when those lines are crossed?
Right.
When now I gotta actually see you as a person, because the quote unquote goal is now I've reached that goal, so to speak. Right. So you know what I'm saying. So I think kind of going back to that, I think it's interesting, like, and having conversations where men can. I think we have to acknowledge our insecurities when it comes to how we like approach women and dating and how we present ourselves. I think the thing with me, and I think Mike kind of alluded to it, where with me, I done fucked up so much publicly and like lost so much to where at this point in my life, like I know there's more in me showing the flaw, quote unquote flaws, or showing certain aspects of my life versus not. Right. So the idea of me showing up not necessarily confident in everything that I have, being like, you know what I'm saying, how I want it to be, but just knowing that this is me and this is good enough. It's actually just fine. You know what I'm saying? So the idea for me, that's feminine energy. Feminine energy goes. Feminine energy, you know what I'm saying? It builds, it's passionate. You know what I'm saying? So then now I'm like, okay, well, if this is kind of more so who I am, if this is Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon, all this shit in my chart, like I'm really understanding that, aligning with this artist, this creative that I am, I'm respecting that more. Now, can I put some structure around it? Let me heal with my daddy issues. Pops didn't show me how to be this great man. Pops didn't necessarily tell me how to be. He didn't necessarily walk me through that. I can have this. I feel this feminine energy. I see a lot of my brothers is like, you want to be this, you want to go here. Okay, cool. Let's structure this. Let's put some discipline to it. Right. So,
Crystal, in your circles, as y'all select up, as y'all choose up, what's the conversation like? We talking about black men. Like what's y'all conversation before y'all get to us? Yeah. Is it rooted in like, I need me a dark skinned man, I need me a light skinned man, and what attributes are given to each of those assignments?
I think in the younger days, the skin complexion was a topic. You know, back in the younger days. Honestly, as women, that's not really the thing. But I think it's also because we learned that those physical attributes don't get us nowhere. I think, you know, choosing that in the younger days, choosing somebody that's light skinned, who got pretty eyes, who's tall, who does all, you know what I'm saying? We realized, like, at the end of the day, they had no substance. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go strictly off of physical, in some of those cases. So it's just like in the conversation as grown women, you know, I think a lot of women, you know, I still hear some of the conversation where, you know, the physical qualities are mattering. And I do have some friends who are dealing with colorism, you know what I'm saying? Like, who's dealing with their internal battle of, well, because I'm dark, you know what I mean? And I do have actual friends who are looking for lighter skinned people who are intentionally saying, oh, he's too dark and he's this, you know what I mean? Those are my younger friends though, you know what I mean? So yeah. I think when you get to a certain, I think it's all about emotional maturity. I think when you get to a certain point and you begin to really realize like what matters and what doesn't matter, this is your perspective and your mindset overall. Go ahead, Pooh.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Crystal. Do you think collectively, now outside of your social circle, outside of the women that you deal with, collectively Black women, and you can think just from your clients to whatever, do you feel like we in romance go with what we need more or what we want more?
It's all about what we want. You know, I'm like, I feel like collectively as a whole, it's very seldom that women will, especially on the first chance, like pick what they need. A lot of times women will go with what they want, what society tells them that they should want. And they know that it's a bad fit. They know that it feels awful. You know what I mean? But this is what I want because this is what I'm being told I should want. And what I need is not aesthetically appeasing. You know what I mean? And so because of what in a friend zone or whatever.
I feel another conversation topic going on. Because I think that goes into some of what we're talking about, like how are we? Because again, we know what's up, but collectively, we see the state of Black family, Black, whatever you want to call it, like just our, you know what I'm saying, the state of Black men and women, or Black relationships, Black love. Like the idea that it usually take around the second or third time before we get it together, but why is that? Like, why can we not have this collective conversation and start to say, okay, well, bro, just go with what you want the first time.
Yeah.
Or sis, just go with the
Yeah.
nigga that actually makes you happy and the one that don't necessarily make your mama happy or your people happy. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's some of the conversation and how that plays into colorism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had a client, younger client. She, you know, we went from therapy to coaching, right?
Yeah.
And it's more on a dating. Like I do dating coaching, and so she
I bet
was,
you do.
huh?
I bet you do.
Stop.
Everybody don't even know that inside
Stop,
joke, but I bet you goddamn do.
He was,
The motherfucking key.
he was, you know, trying to, you know, choose which guy she should take more serious, right? I have a whiteboard in my therapy room. So I told her, go to the board, you know what I'm saying? We did a chart, right? I said, tell me all the attributes that are not physical, right? Hands down, you had this one guy over here, you know what I'm saying, who was, he treated her right, mannerism, everything, right? For a year and a half, she chose this other guy. And it was a year and a half because it was a year and a half of heartache, back and forth, toxic, like just everything. And she always says, you told me to choose the other one, but she just didn't want to because of what society said was right and wasn't, you know what I'm saying? And she knew like this guy was we saw it up front. We saw it in writing.
I've been going through the same shit.
And so it goes back to, you know, again, those subconscious cues that society has told us which is better or whatever the case is.
Yeah, and it's like, I think about that, like even in, like the isms, right? If the man that you so happen to fall in love with isn't the college educated, isn't the, you know, he's not in a fraternity, he isn't degreed, he isn't, you know, a professional, so to speak, that nigga might be so untraditional, so non-conforming, so off. And you see a lot of that, but we run from that. We run from what we like feel and know in our bodies and intrinsically, and go to what our heads tell us that success looks like. So I'm like, we watch our parents bullshit and then we sign up for the same bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I tend to find. You'll see a lot of, you talk to older people, the regrets of the lives lived not going with what they actually know what was for them versus what they were told was for them. And I think if we unpack that, we can sit with the colorism and again, who your mama told you to marry versus nigga down the street who you were supposed to marry. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of that it's in our communities. That's why you find a lot of the dysfunction and the, you know what I'm saying, outside kids and babies and this, that, and the third. Because a lot of our first choice isn't society's choice. Our actual love don't look like what we're supposed to love. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if the black you was told was the what you supposed to like love, but you don't, you go to everything other. Yeah, that's a lot of conflict right there.
Yeah.
That I think we just see manifest itself in, you know, shade room and shit.
Yeah, and I think you can get to a lot of that is a function of trying to emulate the power structure in this country. You know, we white folks do that pairing off shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you know,
still breeding out here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you gonna marry, you know, the Vanderkamps or whoever the fuck, because you know the families need to unite and you know whatever the fuck it is they be doing. Well, we do the same shit. So we be trying to build generational wealth without the motherfucking wealth. So all we got is a motherfucking headache. So you know, you would have married a nigga because he, like I said, you got a degree. He got, he crossed whatever the fuck. He's got a job at an office. Now it don't matter that the nigga who just finished trade school doubled this nigga's salary. My man get up, put on a shirt and a motherfucking tie. He had an office. Now you know so he looked better than the nigga that's a business owner.
Yeah,
that can clock more money, but it's all about how the aesthetics look.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like who you can show a nigga in front of. I think social media it's exacerbated that. People, and I say this shit, niggas want the wedding for the pictures. They don't want the marriage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about your spouse in a way that'll look impressive to other people?
Yeah.
What does your wife
Ooh.
do? Oh, she blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
husband do? Oh, girl, you know he blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah.
You tell him he a plumber. Now
Yeah.
again, we know, nigga like me know. You know, like we just had a you know, summertime, so bugs and shit trying to get indoors and shit. We just had a motherfucking exterminator come. It cost me $200. Nigga been here 15 minutes. I'm like, nigga, I'm in the wrong field.
Yeah.
Give me some
Yeah.
motherfucking poison and a motherfucking spray pump, nigga. I'm out here.
Yeah.
But you know, so this nigga, like 15 minutes of work, I had to get this nigga $200, and he got to
Yeah.
come back every month for like preventative shit, and it's $80 on top of that.
Yeah.
So that nigga robbing my motherfucking ass, right? So nigga, I know what's up, but would you rather hear? But there are women out there who would rather say my husband is a lawyer.
Yeah.
Never mind, he in a mountain of debt, and the nigga work for the ACLU. You know what I'm saying? He ain't making shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Or he's an exterminator.
Yeah. And the
What's the
idea of
play?
what success, the idea of even what, success in that space look like. Everybody's idea of love and happiness don't look like love and marriage or love and hip hop. Don't look like goddamn. You know what I'm saying? I think where we separate communities is like powerful people or people with platforms. It just equates to them having money, financial success. So I think that's another thing too. Is like if we as Black people can start to like break down the fact that like you ain't no different than a Cardi B or any celebrity or fucking Angela Rye or whoever the fuck. It's the idea that like success can look like whatever the fuck we call it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you have a Dave Chappelle who can walk away from some money, who can be like, nah, I don't really want that because I'm trying to do something different with my personal. You know what I mean? So if we can really sit with the fact that money really isn't the end all be all. I think in this middle level is like that 1% of us who's trying to get to a certain point. Like we're fighting to get to a place that the people at that place is trying to get back to where we at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think another thing that we need is like we need to learn how to do self-validation. I think we look for so much external validation, and those people that we're looking for the external validation from don't even understand what it is that they're trying to give validation to.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
Like you said, like to understand what success is and understand that you don't have to do this, whatever. But the people who we're seeking it from don't even understand what success is to begin with. You know what I mean? So now, because we don't have self-validation within ourselves, we out here not doing things that we love and not whatever, and not being the person stuff because we trying to validate it from some other people who don't even know it either.
Yeah, you got to go make your first million to realize you really could have just been good with your 100,000 and really want to set your ass down. Now you don't know what come with $1 million. You don't know what come with all this shit, right? So it's like we're wanting to go there to get back to that place of. It's like, nah, bro. Like you can find your zen, your heaven right here, right now, where you are. That's the word I think a lot of us don't want to do. Like, and that's the hard shit. That's the shit that forces you to sit still in your house with the shit that you got right in front of you and work with that versus you trying to be anything you see on IG.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the hard part. Yeah. Because niggas can't Photoshop that shit. Right? You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't finesse that.
Yeah. And that's my aggravation with the whole social media world era or whatever is because it has created this false sense of reality in a way where people feel like how they say, if you're not posting it, it's not real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the sense of that has created such a sense of like you owe me. You know what I mean? Like all these strangers feel like, oh, you didn't tell us this and you didn't show us this. We need to see this. We want to see more. And so now it's crap because they're not validating within themselves. They're seeking this. So now the comments are running their lives because they're trying to impress all these.
You gotta keep the show up. You gotta keep it up. You gotta keep up the facade of success, like that, the next level. That's why I appreciate like the creation process, what we doing, like the ability for you to remain committed to the process and not no destination. So I think even with us as people with romantic love, like, you know, we go to, we want this person and that person could change. Michael Jackson was black as fuck when he started, and he turned out light skin. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't know how somebody gonna change over time, bro. Like, so I think about that with us. It's like with what we desire is like, can we be connected? Can we be attached to the process of people, man? You know
No,
what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Like, yeah.
Absolutely. Free root start. Even nigga in the last 4 months, dog, from the first conversation we had on the phone.
Yeah.
I said back in February, March, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To like where we are now, what we doing now, it's a completely different thing. You know what I'm saying? That's life. But to get back to, like you said, social media running your shit, if that's how you're gonna do it, then your aesthetic comes into play. So your partner comes into play. So it ain't about who makes me happy. It's about who gonna get me the most approval, who gonna get me the most likes, who gonna get me the most comments, who gonna get me the, you know what I'm saying, whatever. Like, so and so now you living your life based on getting approval from people you ain't even met yet that you probably ain't gonna never meet. You know what I'm saying? Social media exacerbates that shit. So you got this dude or this woman, you know, whoever, who may not look the part, quote unquote, but who you still attracted to. Like you know what I'm saying? You will still knock her down. You will still knock them down. Like nigga, like it's all good. But you know, if you post it, you might get a like here or there. But if you post, you know, Hawaiian silky, Hawaiian wavy, you know what I'm saying? And, oh, y'all a beautiful couple. Oh, y'all, you know what I'm saying? Oh my God.
Yep.
So you know, it plays into that, and so we uphold, because even with, you know, the dark skin aesthetic, that shit look good if they greased up and naked. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about dark skinned women, if they greased up and naked, yeah, nigga, they getting all the lights. But you let them, you know, be in a motherfucking pantsuit, you know, whatever the fuck, on some regular shit, a motherfucking t-shirt, some motherfucking, you know what I'm saying, shorts on. It's, you know, forget about them, regular. So even with that, they have to take that extra step to be appreciated in the aesthetic, as opposed to, you know, a light skin, we say, you know, hair tied chilling with no makeup on. You know what I'm saying? That shit.
And really mean it.
And really mean it.
Because they you know, the hair, and because see, the thing is, when you say that and then you see the image with it, it still sets up this false expectation. Because when you see me with my hair tied, like, y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't gonna look like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't gonna look like that.
Yeah. And see, that's the part of that naked piece, man. God, we gotta like show people everything. Like, show us your actual self. You know what I'm saying?
You living with a motherfucker.
Man, what? Y'all know what motherfuckers look like in the morning? Like, y'all ain't know what? Like, well, you got to love some motherfuckers in the morning.
Fresh off that toilet. Man, you know what I'm saying? Like all that shit, bro.
Man, and speaking of that, my brother, he dated a long years ago. He dated this one girl. She was, you know what I'm saying, trying to be an Instagram girl per se. And she was telling him that she couldn't post him because that would mess up her numbers, right? So she was basically getting a lot of guys, whatever. And I remember her telling, like, she was sitting in conversation and I heard her, whatever. And she said, I get up significantly earlier than your brother just so that I can put my face on it with my hair, all that stuff. So by the time he wakes up, he's seeing this person. When I tell y'all that blew my mind, I was like, wow. Like,
the fact that I've heard that before, though. Like, I've actually heard
it's common. It's common. And so
that
to me, what stuck out to me, and I told her, like, you are really beautiful. Like, you really, like, truly, like, you're beautiful. Like, you don't need any of that. You don't need the lashes, the makeup, the hair. Like, if he rolled over to your bare face, and I don't even know what I'm saying beautiful is, because it was like I never saw her bare face. And then I think about it, you know what I'm saying? But it was just like, I was looking at her personality, the spirit of her. And so what that meant to me was like, dang, like, your self-esteem is that low where you're with somebody who you say you love, but you're not even comfortable with yourself to even let them really see you.
And that's gotta be maddening, dog, because you can't keep that shit. I'm here to tell you, you can't keep that shit up forever. You gonna get sick, you gonna have the flu, you gonna have the runs, you gonna have gas, you gonna, you know, fall down some steps and break your leg. Like something's gonna happen to where you gonna have to be all the way out there. And it ain't gonna be no motherfucking waking up early, putting on a motherfucking face. You ain't gonna be able to do that shit, bro.
Folks spend their whole life trying to fight to keep that image, and it's for themselves. I think at the core of it, it's not even for necessarily for society; it's for yourself. Like if you've been told that your you've been validated by your role as whatever, your title, you being a wife, you being a mother, you being you know what I'm saying, however you see yourself. And you know what I'm saying, like that's something that you take pride in, and that's something that you use to validate yourself. Without it, who are you?
But
That's
even with that,
I ask my people, like, who are you? Outside
with
of
the
all these titles
labeling,
and roles and shit, who the fuck are you?
what
Yeah.
like what's a wife? What's a mother? Like, you know,
Yeah.
with the labeling,
Can we
what the fuck
define
does that
this
look
shit?
like?
Yeah.
What's a
Yeah,
father?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, like
Yeah. And people have been, and then I think that's the part with us, with black people, where it's like, ooh, I just like, and I really be hitting it with my people is like, bro, can you? Because everything we kind of like vision board out. When I ask people like, okay, ideally, perfect world, what would your life look like? Right? No, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can be whatever the fuck you want. And majority of the time, what I get is something that, in very little ways, if any, people are actively working towards.
Yep.
It's like, this is what you know for sure that you want your life to look like. But ain't no part of you actually putting this out there into the universe.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That part is, if I think we sit with a lot of us at our core, regardless of whether you got down, you know what I'm saying, at the top of the motherfucking industry, whoever, to the lowest of the low, a lot of us really don't just put out who we actually are to the world.
Yeah.
That's why we keep having these barriers and shit. That's why we keep having these, and it's just the physical manifestation of the spiritual shit, for real.
Yeah, but until they get questions like that, they don't realize that they don't even know who they are until they get those type of questions. Then it's like, oh, you know what I mean?
Because you start saying what you do. You start telling me, you know what I'm saying, your accomplishments and your resume. Bitch, I asked you that. You know what I'm saying? I asked you, like, what do you believe in? Like, how do you move into the world? Like, what are your, you know what I'm saying, what are your foundational, like, beliefs? Like, what are your values and morals? What do you know what I'm saying, what do you stand on? What's important to you? You know what I'm saying? Like, all that type of shit. And that's the intrinsic shit.
They don't know the
literally,
answers.
they be like, huh? They be like, huh?
Yeah.
But that,
Yeah.
but that's a motherfucker though. And y'all, you know,
I
y'all
know.
like dog.
It's a motherfucker.
It's a motherfucker, dog.
But it should be fundamental shit. That is
Mhm.
that's the shit I be pissed off about. Why is that not fundamental shit that we doing with our babies, bro? Like, because we spend 30, 40 years getting to a point where we done built the whole life just to deconstruct the motherfucker because we realize that ain't what we want.
Yep.
And we see people going through whole identity crisis, midlife crisis, you know, first, second marriage, all that shit, third marriage, like, and now it's like, now you get it. Like, why did you even have to go through all of that?
But it's because you spent your life, you know, fool. You can relate, you know, your identity crisis once you're done playing ball.
Yeah.
Once you off the yard, Crystal. Once you off the yard. You know what I'm saying? For real.
Yeah. And following traditional patterns, following these patterns that was set forth before us, and that's all people know is to do these patterns. This is who you're supposed to be. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you know what I mean. And just on a very, like I said, a very minimal level, it blows people's minds when I tell them I eat hot wings for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I eat breakfast, I'm gonna eat hot wings. I'm gonna eat pizza, and because that's so
why do you eat hot wings for breakfast?
I don't like breakfast food at all. Breakfast food does not sit well with me at all. No
really?
grits,
Like none of
oatmeal, or pancakes. Like, I mean, I might can do some bacon, but you know what I'm saying? Like, none of that. I cannot do.
My nigga need a lemon pepper hot at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
For real. You know what I'm saying? I tell people that, but it's like, they like, what? You know what I mean? But it's only because they are only conditioned to what they've always been taught.
Yeah. No, eating is all ceremonial.
Yeah.
Like it ain't got shit to do with what you eat. It's like you said, breakfast. Now me, I'm like, why? Because I love breakfast food. I can eat breakfast food all day. I can eat breakfast food for lunch, like dinner. So like I'm the exact opposite. So you being like you eat hot wings for breakfast, I'm like, God damn.
But on the flip side again, I can't, going back to colorism, you know, being in college, and I'm telling people, you know, I don't eat at the Waffle House. How many times I get called stuck up and bougie because I said I get the Waffle House? You know what I mean?
And you just don't like the food.
I just did not like the food. You know what I mean? And I would tell people I want to go to IHOP, but it was like, oh, you good enough at IHOP.
They got a bigger selection.
IHOP got chicken tenders, but people could not understand that because all they saw, you know what I mean, instead of just actually listening to what it is that I'm saying.
That's crazy though. But that's because you got people coming at your neck, and it's like it ain't a waffle a nigga would make that I would eat. But just because you say it, Niggas are like, oh, because you're who you light skinned Crystal, aka Crystal. Oh, you too good to eat at the Waffle House.
Yep.
The Waffle House
That's
is
exactly
that you be all over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's
Like
real.
that, like that's crazy.
Yeah, but that's the connotation.
That's
That's what we do. That's
Crystal
what we
don't
do,
eat breakfast.
man. Yeah. Well, let's be crystal clear, nigga. I want wings.
Right. So I appreciate my brunch group because whenever I do go out to brunch, it'd be like once a year. Whenever my line sister come in town, I go out to brunch. You know, we always pick a place that I have some regular food at. Like, cause some of these brunch places, they say brunch, but they still only serve breakfast, and I'm like, I can't do nothing. So yeah.
Yeah, man.
Is it like the cereal? Like you don't like the eggs. You don't fuck with none of
If
it.
I have to eat, like if there's like, if I'm feeling weak in the morning and that's the only thing that's being, I don't even know in what cases, I will eat scrambled eggs, I will eat bacon, I will eat fruit. Well, fruit is not, you know what I'm saying? Fruit is just for. But other than that, I ain't doing waffles, pancakes, none of that. Like nothing. Like blueberry muffins, none of that. Like I don't do none of that.
Damn.
But and at the same time, and then alongside of that, I also get questioned of my blackness because I don't eat any of the traditional Thanksgiving food. I don't eat mac and cheese, dressing, cornbread. Never have, like never in my life have I ever. I want the chitlins. I make my own hot wings for Thanksgiving because the family don't.
You eat hot wings at Thanksgiving?
Look, I'm in Atlanta. I'm straight Atlanta. Okay.
For real. For real.
Yeah, like
Lemon
For
pepper hot,
real.
honey hot. Yes, sir. Garlic
Like,
parmesan.
and it got to a point where when we was doing family Thanksgiving, I had to make the dishes that I would eat because I wouldn't eat nothing else.
Hey, I fuck with it. That's some light skin shit though. It's some light skin shit. I fuck with it though.
Hot wings at Thanksgiving, boy.
Hey,
And see, when I get that, I don't even understand why that is a thing. Like I'm just like, why not?
You know what?
I
I don't
feel
like
you.
hot wings.
I love them. Shit,
I don't like hot wings.
Blasphemy.
Okay, I'm about to say because you don't eat chicken, but you don't like hot wings.
No, I don't like it. No, I'm finna go bake some chicken as soon as we done doing this shit. I just don't eat hot wings. You know what it is? I don't taste nothing but heat.
It's like other flavors. You like
however y'all taste like the spice and shit. I've never tasted none of that. Like all I taste when it like I don't eat hot sauce. Like I don't do none of that. Like the only way I can eat hot wings, literally bullshit you not, I gotta put them in the refrigerator and leave them there, and then I gotta eat them cold. Because if they hot, I don't taste nothing but heat. I don't taste no spice. Whatever kick y'all be talking about, I don't taste none of that. It might be my European tongue, dog. Like nigga, the seasoning just it don't hit me.
It's too much. It can't do it.
Yeah. Like it don't be nothing but heat.
You know,
I'm glad you told me that because every
wings.
time we be talking about getting ready to do the podcast, in my head, I'm like, we gotta have us a pan, you know what I'm saying?
We can.
I mean, yeah, I'm glad you told me you don't eat hot though, so now I know we need to have like another flavor too.
Yeah, nigga, we gonna get low. We whatever y'all drinking, we gonna get. Whatever y'all want to eat, we gonna eat. Whenever we bring niggas in, whatever they want, we gonna have. Like niggas, I mean, we the bruh, we gonna set it out.
But we have learned, according to your post, that you are anti-Hennessy.
That shit is crack water.
And I'm gonna have a bottle sitting right there.
That shit crack water. I'm gonna tell nigga, fool. I'm gonna tell you a true story. The only time I drank Hennessy, I was in New Orleans at Clay's with your chapter. With your chapter.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
Nigga, they had an Airbnb in the 10th Ward. I'm in that motherfucker. I'm already like low.
Oh no, you probably talking about with my Neo. I know you talking about.
No, it's your pro fights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm in that motherfucker loaded already. And them niggas like just kept testing me. They were like, nigga, you don't drink Hennessy, you can't handle Hennessy. So and I was like, man, get the fuck out of here. So but after like 45 minutes, I was like, man, fuck it, nigga, pull up, right?
Yeah.
So nigga, I'm sitting there breaking down crab. We got whole crabs. I'm sitting there breaking down crabs, drinking Hennessy. But I do not. But and I will say it's a different kind of drunk. I will say that. Hennessy drunk is a different kind of drunk.
Yeah, that's why I look. If I told me not to drink, I'm gonna meditate on these herbs why y'all do all that?
But that shit crack water. That shit crack water, dog. That is gross. Like that shit nasty, bro. You drinking, Crystal?
No, I'm actually more on whiskey.
Okay. See, we good though. We good though.
Yeah.
We can do that, man. And fool, what you going? What you going?
I'm a ride. I'm a hand this. I'm a hand dog it out.
You can have it. You can have it. It's all yours. It's all yours.
I mean, no, I do drink. Hold on, I do drink Hennessy. I mean, I might pour me a cup, but that's just not my preference. Like,
yeah. Cause I don't be drinking like that no more. So usually I'm shotting it up. So like with my niggas, if I'm drinking, I'm probably taking shots. So it usually be shots of Hennessy. So
you still do shots,
bruh. I got a different lifestyle than Huntsville. Like, I be on some young nigga shit out here now.
the nigga I ain't did a shot in I don't know how long, bro.
I be on some other shit out here now.
I did a shot Monday morning, and they almost took me out. I was like, "Whoa!"
Monday morning.
I got a cup of water. Okay, like, I'm old now. I got heartburn, so I be having to have a cup of water. If I got some water and shit, that's my little chaser. Nigga. Give me some water, I'm good.
That nigga do shots, bro. That's crazy as a motherfucker.
Hey man,
I do Crown Vanilla.
Oh, so I can't do the
that's some light skin shit. That nigga said Crown Vanilla.
Crown Vanilla, fire though.
I ain't gonna lie to you, that shit fire though. With the
that shit fire though.
With is it Dr. Pepper?
You get Dr. Pepper, you can do
Reaper. That shit is good as hell.
Either one don't work.
That's like Honey Jack and Sprite for me. That's just like Honey Jack.
Yeah.
Honey Jack. I do like my Honey Jack. Yeah.
Now how you do Honey Jack, but you don't do vanilla?
Yeah.
I don't like nothing about the Crown. I don't like Crown Apple. Never had Crown. I don't like Crown at all. Like the
Crown is rough. Crown is rough.
Yeah, that was my intro drink.
Yeah, I don't.
That was my cute beverage.
Yeah. Because I won't fucking with Crown till I cross.
Yeah, I just wanted the fucking bags. I didn't care.
Yeah, but nah, nigga, I'm probably not drinking till we get down there to record real shit. Because I'm trying to stay all the way focused.
Yeah, it's time for that, man.
Yeah, because I don't like. You said what?
Nah, I'm gonna say we gotta focus.
Yeah,
it's a lot more conversations I know we can have, like a lot more ratchet shit.
Yeah, but we at the point, you know, and we keep letting the table. I don't give a fuck for real. We at the point, dog, where, and it's actually good to keep this tape rolling so people can see like the after show thought process shit. I feel like we at the point where we good with, like, I almost want to stop talking about shit like this.
Yeah.
And start talking about current event shit. Because we at the point where we diving into podcast topics.
Yeah, because we should definitely be talking about the whole Cardi B.
Can we talk about WAP?
But I'm saying,
come on.
I want to talk about that shit.
Let's do it. Go.
I just want to talk about sex so bad.
Go.
Nigga. I just want to talk about this shit, man.
Go ahead.
Next week, bro. I want to talk about that shit, bro.
Next week, nigga, do it now. Where you gotta go?
No, I want us to have a session on that shit. Like,
where you gotta be? Where you gotta go?
I do gotta go somewhere, but I gotta go.
But he hit you with the
I do. No, look, I do gotta go somewhere. I do, but because I look at it like honestly, because the WAP shit for me is just like it's that I really want to tap into the conversation around like sexual expression and understanding, like, you know what I'm saying, like the idea that like we really have not found a space where we can discuss sexuality safely as Black people, or even like celebrate it, respect it, honor it in any way, shape, or form. Like we dive into spirituality, but I think the idea that there's aspects of even that we don't respect. You know what I'm saying?
But it's only when it come out the mouth of women, though.
No, I get it.
Niggas been doing it. Niggas been. You know what I heard the other day, dog? What's your fantasy?
Oh, look, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's my shit. And I mean, WAP is a motherfucker, dog. You
WAP is a bop.
Yeah. And whoever got an ear for the beats and the sample is a motherfucking genius, bro.
Yeah, WAP is a bop.
Like that shit.
But I think that's the shit though. It's like, nigga, all of y'all niggas grew up off of goddamn Uncle Luke, motherfucking Freaknik. Like, we from Atlanta, bro. Like, we grew up off of fucking
love in your mouth.
Love in your mouth.
You know what I'm saying? You talking about slap on the knob. You talking about 112, like everything. It has been so appropriated and so okay. You know what I mean? But as soon as a female, as a woman do it, it makes people so uncomfortable.
Well, the thing about it is I think it's less of them doing it. It's more now that this is actually a part of hip hop culture.
Yeah.
You have more artists, more women artists who are taking this mode and reclaiming their power through their sexuality. So you got former sex workers. You got, you know what I'm saying, individuals who like, shit, I can make music too. Just like you niggas who can't rap is blowing the fuck up. I'm finna goddamn actually put my talent out here and win. So I think that's the issue that niggas is saying, like, nah, you can't really hold that being a whole shit over a women's head no more.
That's
Like, you know what I'm saying?
is.
So I actually have, my pussy actually got power for real, and I'm owning that shit. You see what I'm saying?
You with it.
Thank you. Like, I can't do shit with you. You can't do shit with me. That's that part. Like, niggas is uncomfortable with the fact that, like, you really got to come with shawty on some real straight up shit now. You can't really hold that over, you know what I'm saying, a woman's head. And it's the trickle of, like, the waves and the ripples is now, you see in that levels where now niggas be like, oh man, I want a woman like this, I want a woman like this. Now the women that you're dealing with is now saying, like, nigga, you really not even on my level. So now you having to tighten up because the women that you dealing with is now like, bro, hold up. Nigga, like, I actually do got power. I actually do. Hold on, you really do got stuff to, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's the shit that is bothering a lot of niggas. That the fact that, like, nah, you see a lot of this respectability politics happening with black men and leaders and like a lot of posturing. It's like, oh, you don't like Cardi talking about politics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas, I see a lot of comment sections like, man, she need to shut the fuck up. She just need to stay in her lane. What is her lane?
What's her lane? What's her lane?
Right.
As one of the most powerful, influential black women in America. Like, what is her lane? Because you can't see that part. You just see the fact that how she got there. You don't see the fact that, like, in her power, she's actually doing what she's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Like, all of us ain't politicians. All of us aren't activists in that way. All of us have activism in us. All of us can be. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's some of the shit to where our heroes and leaders, like, you having to, like, just unlearn and relearn who the fuck you supposed to really respect. Like, niggas having to respect, you having to respect the slut. You having to respect the hoe. You having to respect the
and that's what I'm saying. I think I think what is happening is they're, like you said, they're redefining what it is, what this means to us, what this is as a woman, what womanhood means to us, whatever. And I think because it's so against the grain of what everybody has always known, the box that it has been trying to be kept in, and it breaks traditionality. You know what I mean? One of the lines in the song that Cardi said that, you know, has gotten a lot of attention, says, I don't cook, I don't clean, let me tell you, I got this ring. And it's blowing people's minds. But what people don't understand is what she's saying is, I don't have to be your traditional person to still get to this other, you know what I'm saying, this other part of myself, this other whatever. I didn't have to play this traditional
to be
game.
a wife.
Right. I didn't, like, what y'all define as wifey material, I didn't have to move like that, and I'm still in wifey material. You know what I mean? And so it's redefining all of these roles that have constrained women and that has tried to keep us in a box. You know what I mean? Like, I know one of the other things, you know, and not just with this video, but overall, is women using profanity. You know what I mean? I know that going back to Beyonce, for a very long time, she was not using profanity in her music. I almost feel like she actually didn't start until she got married. You know what I mean? But it's because society keeps this box on you, where if you're a woman of class, you got to talk with certain etiquette. You can't do this. You can't, you know what I mean? You got to keep yourself in this box. And it's depressing women because it's not allowing women to become who they really are. You know what I'm saying? It's for themselves, because you have to constantly put on this image and this good girl image in order to be seen, accepted, and respected in society. Ooh. So now it's like, if you don't want to respect me, I'm going to make you respect me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it goes into that colorism conversation a little bit too, because again, the posturing of women who ascribe to the good girl archetype and the women who may be more adventurous and explorative in their sexuality early on, who get cast into this slut role. So then you see those women who end up married with kids and happy, and you have the group of women who have spent their whole lives posturing. And now you hear the, oh man, fuck them, like, you know what I'm saying, the pick me. So this, I think that plays into some of that, you know, even like the school days, you know what I'm saying, like the good or bad hair. Like the idea of, you know what I'm saying, what does it look like for women, black women specifically, collectively, to just live and be? And whether or not you explore your sexuality whether or not you choose to be a little bit more conservative, you know what I'm saying, sexually, or decide, you know, whatever you decide to do, you're worthy of love and affection and worthy of, you know what I'm saying, security. And actually, and more so than that, respect. Like niggas gotta start putting respect on like women name, period. Like I think that's just period. That's just really what it is.
Well, and then to even get it to a deeper level is that what Megan and Cardi and all those cats do when they reclaim this aspect of what womanhood really is, right? And they identify it to the quote unquote respectable women. You know what I'm saying? You got, you know, the Crystal Pharaohs of the world, you know, jamming to this shit, respecting this shit, fucking with this shit, right? Well, what it does is it humanizes that aspect of that group of women. You know what I'm saying?
Facts,
and when we talk about, you know, black women being kidnapped, black women being sex trafficked, you know, a large function of that is us not seeing them as worthy of being protected. But if we can identify the whole quote unquote the promiscuity, the you know, sexual liberation in our wives, in our quote unquote goody two-shoe girls, you know what I'm saying? If they claim that and we accept that in them, then that makes conceivably, hopefully, makes us look at the sex worker, look at, you know, the wild girl, look at the stripper, look at whoever the fuck as still women. Because I can see my sister, I can see my wife, I can see my whoever the fuck in like in them.
And the thing, that's that willful ignorance though. I hear that a lot of times with black men. We gotta be a lot hold ourselves more accountable. Where black women will say, well, this is our reality, and niggas will be like, man, well, that's crazy, or I don't know like how that can even happen, or like I would never. It's like, no, bro. The reality that like it's, you see the numbers, it's so much, so many women, so many like, you know, countless numbers of women who are victims of, you know, domestic abuse, sex trafficking, you know what I'm saying, violent, sexual violence, or just sexual, you know, certain history. But man, we just act like this shit is just, we blind to it. Nigga, like we act like this shit is like, nah, nigga, like we grew up in this culture, like we grew up listening to Pimp C and listening, like we grew up in Southern, especially in the South. Like this is a culture that we joke, we rap about and we joke about. But if we can do that, why can't we acknowledge the fact that there is also some hurt and harm and some real shit to this shit, and how that manifests and how we see our sisters? Because like you said, our actual proximity to you know that your sister is the free. If you can acknowledge that and love your sister, like literally, I know men who struggle with that fact. Like they turn their backs on the women in their lives because they make questionable decisions and choices that now gives them this scarlet letter that now says you're unlovable. So a lot of women have these issues with their brothers or their fathers or the men that's supposed to protect them because of these decisions that they make that now make them not, you know, worthy of love. And that's the bullshit. And that's the shit that more prominent, respectable men got to start holding ourselves and themselves accountable for. Like we've done some serious damage and harm to the women in our lives that we love that don't posture, right? What if your daughter just so happened to be sexually like explorative and free? You gonna not love her because she like nah, what's up?
But
there's
niggas
a lot
really
of
will.
us that are like that.
Niggas
that's
really
exactly
will.
What we gonna do?
Yep.
Exactly.
Right.
Really will.
And then another problem I have, which is what I call society's handcuffs, right? The handcuffs society puts on Black women particularly is the idea that only Black women are supposed to be role models. So it's like when these songs come out, you only hear that conversation when it's about us as Black women. Oh, what kind of role model are they setting? But we're not saying that to Lil Wayne, who has a daughter. We're not saying that to Chris Brown and his lyrics, who has a daughter. We're not saying this to Future, who has several kids. You know what I'm saying? We're not saying this to any of the men, but it's like, are men not role models too? You know, and you are, you know what I'm saying? But it's but that question, that insert is never inserted when it comes to men whatsoever. But as soon as a Black woman do something that shake the table, then that topic comes up is, oh, what kind of role model are you? What kind of stuff are you setting for your kids? And that's never questioned for Black men.
Or even white women. You know, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, they should be edgy. They should be, you know, provocative. It's a women liberation. They're reclaiming their vagina. You know what I'm saying? Like that's and if they are, cool, but that's the mainstream narrative, right? Like that. That's what Us Weekly. That's what, you know, the motherfucking block. Like that's what they saying. But when it comes, like I said, Cardi, Megan, Lil Kim, Foxy Brown, you know, Gangsta Boo, you know what I'm saying? Them Trainer, right? Exactly. It's this sexualization at the expense of their humanity,
Yeah.
as if they don't know, what they're talking about. They don't know, like as if they're led by their vagina.
Yeah.
Fact.
You know what
Like
I'm saying?
they can acknowledge something and that not be like the call to come. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like I think this goes to that power. It's like I'm telling y'all what this is, what's happening. It don't mean you got free pass to it. Don't mean you got access to it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the same thing with men. It's just the way we see it. With women, when women actually say I'm a sexual being, men are conditioned to say, okay, well, nah, that means that's my green light to engage. It's like,
Yeah.
nah, nigga. Like, no, absolutely not. And I think that's the part in our culture that's just deep generational like conditioning that we have to learn. And it goes back to, I mean, people love to talk about it. In Africa, motherfuckers be butt ass naked. You think they just running around doing certain, like, there has to be some aspect to it. And in some tribes and some places they are very like not a lot. There are not a lot of clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so think about the fact that I know we make these extreme calls, but the idea of, okay, there's a part of us somewhere along down the line that was able to live in close proximity to each other, to where like, how we presented ourselves was never an issue of respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just the Western world. This is the way we sexualize bodies, we sexualize children, we sexualize every fucking thing.
Well, Bernie Mac,
you know what I'm saying? That is you feel what I'm saying? That is America. That's why twerking and certain shit is seen as sexual but that's what we do. That's how we dance. Like Africa, you go to any African party, there's a traditional nigga, you're gonna see a lot of ass shaking. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the thing where like if we can normalize what's normal for us versus what's normal for them. Like sex is it's a lot more normal for us to be sexual beings. You know what I'm saying? Versus for them where it's like, oh my God. It's like, nah, nigga, like this just what it is. That's why, and we go back to the approach. When they come to us, is this awe, oh my God, it's this reverence. It's like, nah, this is us.
Yeah.
So if we can stay in that, like we're not doing this for them.
And to clear it up, just for the people who are going to see it, who are watching, sexual beings does not mean have sex with me. Sexual beings means being in touch with your own sexuality. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It's all about yourself and saying, this is what's comfortable for me.
Yeah.
Ooh,
acknowledging your
talking.
Yeah. Fact. That's a real fact though. Not like your sexual identity has everything to do with your pleasure and how you identify with it. And they ain't got shit to do with nobody else. So it's like, can we relearn what sexual intimacy is and what it looks like? Me and my clients talk a lot about, like, you know what I'm saying, how to define pleasure and what me time is. What does me time look like for you? You know what I'm saying? Sexually, like we just instantly go to masturbation, but the idea that masturbation in itself is really just a tool that you can use to teach yourself how to feel good for yourself by yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But those are conversations. Those are things that we're not taught. It's not shit that we're ever guided and instructed to actually feel free to explore. Versus
And for women, like, self-care is also like normalizing putting on lingerie for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to always be at home with your lingerie, be at home in your bubble bath. You know what I'm saying? Light your candles, play your music, and just be in tune with yourself. Like, it doesn't have to always be for somebody.
Facts. And men too. I think that's another thing. Men, like the idea that we only take care of ourselves when a woman is involved. Like, niggas don't be on none of that smelling good, bathing every day shit. Niggas is nasty. Niggas be on some other shit. Like, for real. Like, niggas don't be on this behavior unless a woman is involved. So the idea for me is like, with men, is like, who you posturing for? Posture for yourself, nigga. Take care of yourself. Go dress for yourself. Like, go put on for you, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, go look good. Go take yourself out to eat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but those are things we got to teach ourselves. And that's related to sex. That's related to sex as a lifestyle and about, you know what I mean? Like, what pleasure look like. Yeah.
And going back, even with couples, like, you know, opposite sex or males, whoever, like allow your mate to have that space to be a sexual person. Like, you know, for people who living together, married, whatever, like, sometimes, speaking from a woman, I can't do the whole whatever, right? Speaking from a woman, like, sometimes women just want to put on lingerie and not mean that they want to have sex. Sometimes women just want to do that. And I know that I've heard women say, I don't do that because if I do, he's gonna think I want to have sex and I don't want to do that, you know, whatever. So now they intentionally have to put on t-shirts, shorts, whatever, just to get a cue that, you know what I'm saying? So now you're sacrificing the things that you want internally to do for yourself because it's going to give off this to your spouse, which then brings me to married or not, your body is still your body. And you don't owe, regardless of who it is, you know what I'm saying? Like that whole traditional role of this is my husband, so I gotta do this, whatever, is a rape mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't owe nobody nothing. Like this, regardless if you married or not, like it's still you and your body first. You know what I'm saying? Like you are before you are the title of a wife or anybody else.
Absolutely.
Y'all gonna get me going.
Nah, that's real shit.
No, that absolutely 1000%.
Look, that's real shit. It's agency. You know what I'm saying? Like teaching people their agency. A lot of us haven't been taught that you can say no, even as a man. Like that's another story for another day. Like issues around just being a dick. Like I got a podcast episode I'm waiting to publish about like my realization around what it meant to a point in my life where in a relationship I was just a dick. Like and that was me hitting my personal low, where I realized I wasn't providing shit, but just that. And that was something that like fucked me up. And I think a lot of us find pride and power in that. And it's like, nah, nigga, it's like, nah, if that's all you are, it's like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you actually adding to this woman's life? What are you doing for yourself in this relationship? Like those questions where if we take sex out of it, what is the actual point of this relationship? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing for each other, with each other? Like, what does love do? What does it look like? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that shit, it's difficult. You know what I'm saying? Because again, time isn't our friend. So in our 30s, we meet people and it's like, fuck all that, you know, like let's figure out what we're doing. Versus us maybe taking the time to say, well, before we figure out what we're doing, let me tell you what I'm doing. Let me tell you what I got going on with me and as far as how I'm looking to date with the space that I'm in right now. Like we don't have those conversations until we get deep into some shit.
Yeah, and it goes to also like how you saying who like not understanding the concept of no. I think that has been taught. You know what I mean? That's the idea that again, men are still here compared to women. So if a man wants this, how women feel and have been taught, you better give that man what he wants. You know what I'm saying? That's why now you look at relationships and there's so much unbalance. You know what I'm saying? Because it's everything is being fed into the man. You know what I mean? And it's teaching women to put self second. You know what I mean? And I've even heard the narrative of, you know, the man gets fed first after this is played, and he, you know, sits down at the table first. And that is what's been ingrained. That's okay for some people, that is okay for it. But what happens is for people who are not okay with it, but are still having to live that role, that life, because they feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, and if I don't, and even then, the man holds it to them where, look, you got to do this for me, even if they're not okay with it.
Facts. And then you wake up one day and you still doing that shit, and you find out that he still don't fuck with you. He don't love you. You see what I'm saying? That be the shit we come to. Like, you've done all of this to be this wife to this person for someone. Then you realize that they actually wanted something else. So now you're spending your time trying to pick up the pieces and figure out who the fuck you are, because you spend, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what that collectively, honestly, that's what the fuck I see a lot of right now. And I know, Crystal, you probably speak to that. Like, I see a lot of us in our late 20s, early 30s who have spent a lot of time posturing, a lot of time, energy spent into conditioning. And now this collective awakening is having us like, whoa, what the fuck do I actually want?
Yeah.
What do I want my life to look like? How do I want it to, you know what I'm saying? Because you seeing the veils and the barriers to that shit. Like, you can go get you a tiny house in the fucking mountains if you want to. Like, you can go duck off and live off grid if you want to. Ain't nothing stopping you from living your life. You're actually stopping you from what you want.
Yeah.
So that work there is like, okay, if you the person, if you the problem, then what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? Like, then, like, what's the real issue? Like, what is it? What is stopping you from realizing the sexual, you know, experiences that you want to experience, realize? A lot of the issues come with where people just can't be truthful with themselves, so they can't be truthful with your partner. You can't tell your partner the truth if you can't be truthful with yourself. That's a very, like, that's 1 + 1. So that's the part where it's like, shit, at what point in everything we talk about do we find some truth? Like, do we find our truth in it? And that's what people have issues with, like Cardi and Megan and a lot of artists, black women. It's because they showing you your truth that you're not comfortable with. Like, you really want to be a sex worker. You really want to OnlyFans. You really want to live that life, but you scared.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, where we just collectively, like, shit, we just got to be out, able to say, look, I'm uncomfortable with this shit, and be okay with it. A lot of us we're not okay with deconstructing the image.
Yeah, and I feel like for myself, I hit the awakening. I don't ever think sleep when it comes towards this gender role thing. I feel like I've always been very independent thinking, you know what I mean? And I feel like because of that, I was always cast out. You know what I'm saying? Or Crystal, you on some other stuff. Or Crystal, you know what I mean? And I was always the one that was looked at with this side eye, you know what I mean, when it came down to my thoughts on my views on marriage and relationships. And so because of that, I began to be more mute, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna talk about it, because the more I tell people, if I'm myself and I'm telling you, hey, this is what my true heart desires, and because it's not your normal, now you're judging me and you're making me feel like, oh, what I want is less than, you know what I mean? Or that's not, you don't want a marriage, you don't want, you know what I mean? And I began to hear it so much, but I began to think it like, maybe I don't want to get married, you know what I'm saying? Because what I want in a marriage does not line up with what society tells me I'm supposed to be married, you know what I'm saying? So because now I done spent years telling myself, convincing myself, I don't want to get married, you know what I'm saying? Because of my authenticity, you know what I'm saying, within myself, and me being transparent with myself and saying, hey, this is what's gonna work for me, this is how I want it to look, versus everybody kind of like, you know what I'm saying, that ain't normal, you know what I mean? And you know, I have to tell people a lot of times now I'm confident now, I'm saying, stop looking for normalcy in me, you know what I'm saying? Like, what you're looking for, you're not gonna find the answers. When you're telling me that you don't understand how I'm moving, you're not going to understand, because you're trying to understand it from a very traditional, normal pattern of the way you think, instead of actually trying to understand it from who I am.
So where did they come from? How did you get there?
I don't know. Like, I just feel like I don't know if maybe like just being just the only girl, I've always just kind of been independent. Like, I have brothers, I have a sister. When I say only girl, I have. Anyways, y'all know. So anyway,
yeah. Nigga shit. Yeah.
So it's like, for me, you know, like, even though I had siblings around, I was playing by myself. You know what I'm saying? My friends joke with me to this day. I played library. I had books. I was checking my books out. I was checking them back in. I did a lot of stuff by myself. I did a lot of validation by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a brother that I'm close to. He got in trouble a lot. You know what I'm saying? With the system and everything else. So a lot of attention had to be given to him, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like I had nothing but time to really think for myself. Think for yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think teaching children to be truly independent thinkers and not traditional roles. And I remember having conversations with my mom and my dad in the car, letting them know, like, I need y'all to be okay if I don't move like this, if I don't do the certain things that y'all want to be traditional about doing, whatever. And I had like verbatim, I tell them, I need y'all to be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And their acceptance that gave me even more confidence to keep going. You know what I mean? And for me, because I'm such a logical thinker, there is no telling me otherwise. When something logically does not make sense to me, and if I'm asking you to explain to me why you feel like this and you cannot, it gives me more confidence to know that I'm standing strong on my ground.
That's
if
interesting.
Telling me, like, we're doing something because this is what we're supposed to do, when I hear that answer, I lose my mind. Like, when you're telling me, oh, we got to do this, and I'm like, why we got to do this? Well, that's what you're supposed to do. According to who? You know what I mean? Like, if you're not making logical sense to me, I'm done with it.
That's interesting, because I grew up kind of the same way. Like, I got two older brothers, but they're my middle brother and me, we 11 years apart. So I spent a lot of time by myself. And I spent a lot of time socially too. Like, I played ball and shit growing up, but I spent a lot of alone time. Yep. So for better or for worse, I kind of made up my own moral code. And like I said, it was based on logic. I didn't have a lot of outside influences constantly telling me what to think. Like, so when people are always like, with the page, you know, how can you stand up for LGBTQ shit? How can you stand up for this and whatever? Because the shit don't make sense. And I grew up, like I said, processing shit purely by myself. And so I wasn't at a dinner table with 4 other people getting inundated on, bombarded with society. Like, no, we do this. So, my mama, it was me and my mama, like I got a dad, but they got divorced and shit. So, and my mama worked and like worked. So we come home, she would bring dinner home, or, she might cook dinner, and nigga, she went upstairs and laid down. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's me from like, 5 o'clock every night to, bedtime, just by myself thinking about, and not even thinking about it consciously, but just figuring out the world by my own logic. And, I'm with you. If somebody tells me I have a huge problem with authority, like a huge problem, I have a huge problem with authority. Like, if you tell me I need to do something and I ask you why and you don't have an answer, or your answer is because I said so, or because, like, I take that as disrespect.
Yeah.
Like you have literally, like, I'm gonna ask you why. You can give me an answer, and it's up to me to agree with it. But if you say because I said so, because this is how we do it, you was just disrespecting me. So that might be why we was online for 9 months. I don't know, but but again, it's gotta make sense. But as I raise my child, it's the same way. She asks me why all the time, and I give her an answer. And sometimes the answer is, I'm not sure. I think this is the best way to go. And she'd be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? But it's an honest answer. Like, but it's never because I said so. It's, I think this is going to be the best move. And she'd be like, all right. And if she got something she want to suggest, I listen to it. But, if she don't, then, that's what we rolling with. But yeah, it's, I grew up. So it's interesting you say that, because I wonder as we get into bringing up children, how much toxic shit comes out of our mouth that like shapes and frames them, to where if we just left them alone or said the right things, would the world be, cliche world be a better place? Because you're saying, I'm saying the same thing.
With that question, being in the mental health field and just really diving into it more and more and more, I inherently do things different within my own patterns, right? And so now I see the different ways I move with my nieces and my nephews. I have 14 nieces and nephews, and being in this profession now, I see things from a different light. You know what I'm saying? So I'm automatically always checking myself, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that the influence that I'm playing on them, regardless of how small, how big, whatever interaction, I always am very conscious of it. And in retrospect, I get told, you acting like them white folks. You know what I'm saying? When one of the things I have become very big on is, nieces and nephews or not, I don't force kids to give me hugs. And that's because I have not understood, you don't force them to do something with their body that they don't want to do, because now that's what they're getting trained to do. So when they say, go give your auntie a hug, I say, no, it's okay. And I ask them, do you want to give auntie a hug? They say, no, it's okay. Don't feel bad. It's okay. I mean, whatever. One of my nieces, and I think as adults, you know what I'm saying, we got to put our ego to the side with, you know what I'm saying, and giving them the space to feel comfortable. One of my nieces, one of my older nieces, she had told me something that I didn't really know was private, but I told my brother, this is his child, you know what I'm saying? So I told him, like, hey, you may want to holler at her about, what's going on in her life, whatever. And I noticed, you know what I'm saying, she don't really be calling me no more. It was a little distant. So I hit her up, like, what's up? And then she was like, nothing. I'm like, I want you to feel comfortable talking to me, you know what I'm saying? And understand when I say that, I'm not going to flip the script. I'm not going to, when you tell me something, then go off on you, whatever. And she told me, when, I whatever, when she finally got out, she said, it made me not trust you because you told my daddy something, you know what I'm saying, I didn't want you to tell him. I immediately apologized. I owned up to it. I apologized. I should not have gone back and told your private business. Even though that is your daddy, that still had no right. You know what I'm saying? That should have been something that you should have, whatever the case is, you know what I'm saying? I let her know that you are well within your rights to feel however you feel against me. You know what I'm saying? But I think as adults, so many of us, one, take stuff so personal and on our own thing. You know what I'm saying? We so fragile within ourselves because there's so much healing that we ain't done that now we're putting on these kids. And again, now you got this generational trauma of toxicness, you know what I'm saying? Because now people don't know how to communicate because you chose to go off. Now she's not open to communicate or how she feels no more. You know what I mean? Now this whole pattern of stuff because people don't know how to now communicate and understand the feelings and stuff behind everything.
But it's crazy what we do with kids and like how we use them to kind of like validate ourselves and our existences. You know what I'm saying? And we don't we don't do the work to actually like meet them where they are and honor them and their personhood. You know what I'm saying? Like with my daughter, a lot of my challenges are around, you know, what I choose to show her and what I choose not to show her. You know what I'm saying? Like
Explain it.
Just how far I go with transparency. You know what I'm saying? Because there are things that I didn't want her to see that she's already seen. So it's like now I have to find a way to frame the negative versus acting like it's not there. So it's forcing me to like, you know, because you have a situation where me and her mama not necessarily on the same page. You know, I just say all my business, but as you're working towards a healthy, you know, co-parenting situation, you have to be mindful of like what there's different truths across the board.
Right.
So you have to be mindful of you not projecting what you want versus what's actually good for her. Right. So a lot of times there'll be times where my emotions may want to let her know things or make sure like, hey, daddy didn't mean this or daddy, but it's like, nah, you actually just confused her, bro. You showing you know that. You don't need to say this, or you may not need to frame this way. This isn't, because that's more so actually the conversation you want to have with her mother. So where a lot of times we avoid talking to parents or to the adults about the kids, we end up taking that and projecting it onto
the kids.
You see what I'm saying? It's like you want the love or you want to be acknowledged as a parent or a father, but in real life, it's like now the issue is actually with the mother, or you want to be acknowledged, you know what I'm saying? Or you want respect. Or so you saying like the kid, your child who ain't seen you in forever, or who doesn't feel as safe with you or has to warm up to you, you expect them, you want them to feel like, I'm your dad, I'm your this, you know what I'm saying? I see that a lot. And it's like, okay, well, no, respect the fact that they haven't built that rapport with you. They don't feel safe with you the way they do with their mother. Like, you have to actually acknowledge the fact that you haven't been the consistent piece. You have to acknowledge what you haven't done, how you haven't shown up, the ways that it's not normal for them to do certain things that you expect to be normal. Yeah. So I think that's something that is big there, where with kids, I love to use kids and as a reference, because if you can deal with your relationship to children, you can usually deal with your relationship to yourself.
Yeah.
Because kids force you to slow down and really like have to be mindful of what you're doing and be present in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you can do that with them, you can start to see the verbiage you're using with kids. What happens when you get crazy and get childlike? Can you use that same verbiage with yourself?
Yeah.
Like, can you be like, well, I didn't mean to do that. Hold yourself accountable. Like, I'm sorry. I love you. I messed up and I love you. Like, I love you and I messed up and I hurt you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, with kids, it's like, when my daughter's like, look, I'm so sorry. Daddy did not mean to hurt you. I know I did. I didn't. Like, it's that radical, right? With kids, but with grown folks, or even with ourselves, like, we don't do the same thing. So it's like, that's the shit.
I think what you said is true. I think kids are always a good barometer of where you stand from an accessibility standpoint, especially
emotionally.
So for everybody out, I'm sure everybody watching this shit know mine 13. So she 13, so she got business now. You know what I'm saying? And and his business ain't got nothing to do with me. So one of my I don't brag on my parenting a lot, just because we won't know until the product done. You know what I'm saying? Whatever fuck. So, but one thing that did make me feel good was not to put her business out there, but throughout some of her business, every single time she had it, she had something to share. She came down to me and shared it. So it wasn't me pulling it out of her. It wasn't me having to sit down and talk. Like, I mean, I remember one time I'm in the garage working. It's, probably midnight. She come down, sit in the chair, and, just start going. And so I'm like, oh shit. So, I closed the laptop, whatever. And so we rap, you know what I'm saying? And we rap for about an hour and a half about, this, this, that, and the third. And, just we're at that age where, people kind of joke about, oh, she getting the boy, what you gonna do? You better have the shotgun ready, this, that, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nah, I mean, I'm gonna let her uncles do that kind of shit. because what's gonna end up happening is she at the age where, you know, she gonna be into boys, you know, or wherever she gonna be into. And she gonna be a damn fool for a long motherfucking time.
Yeah.
And she needs to know that she can come to me in order to, you know, circumnavigate, prevent shit, fix shit, help shit. You know what I'm saying? Like the worst thing in the world I would want her to do, which is a lot of how she came to be in the world, is, you know, be young, be dumb, and feel like they ain't got nobody to turn to. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, nigga, like, I don't give a fuck what you got going on.
Yeah.
You come,
Yeah.
you call me first.
Yeah.
Like, but that's, parents say that, but you gotta build that shit.
Yeah.
Like parents say that all day long, but if I tell you some shit, are you finna cuss me out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you finna
Yeah.
hang over my head? Or you finna tell my grandmama and them? Like, or you gonna do that? And you know, the answer gotta be no. Like, so, you know, throughout her, she's starting to get business, and her coming to me and being like, you know, this was going on, blah blah, and you know, she talking like E, so she be like, I got some tea. So I feel like, all right, you know, what tea you got? And so, you know, she go into it, but I've never had to, when it comes to certain things, I've never had to coax it out of her, right?
Yeah.
And you know, so you know, but it's a function of me realizing what I didn't have. And this isn't any knock to my parents. My parents are people, so nobody parents are perfect. You know, I love my mom, I love my daddy, but it's realizing what I didn't have at 13, at 19, at 22. You know what I'm saying? And knowing like I want that shit to be different.
Yeah.
But that takes actively creating an environment where it is different, where daddy means more than protector. It means more than provider. It means friend. It means confidant.
Nurture.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like that, and we don't take that into account enough. It's like you said, you apologizing. That's huge.
Yeah. Oh, that's every day. That's every day, all the time. Like, like, then I think that's something too. Like, you know, something that I had to find power in. That I know people around me don't. I remember, like, you know, whatever. But in the fact that I don't apologize for me making mistakes. Like, it's my first time being a daddy, bro. I don't got number one. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Just like you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, I show up. I know I make mistakes. I try to hold myself accountable to not make them. But for me to sit here and then run away from my child because I'm not perfect, now what good does that do?
Yeah.
Right. So this idea, I think, for a lot of us that are reaching for these ideas of what success and parenting, like, fuck the goals. You are the goals. Like, fuck up more. Like, make more mistakes so you can learn from them, so you can figure out like what your actual flow even is.
Yeah.
Like, again, like you said, well, now my child should be 13 at some point. So the idea for me is, you know, like, even just we talk about the things, like, I'm co-parenting. So I have to sit with and think about the fact that, like, what does life look like for me where my child may live with me? What does life look like for me where my child, like, you know what I'm saying, in different methods and modalities and ways that we have to communicate and engage. Like, that shit is real. And a lot of us don't really sit with, or we don't extend enough, I think, kindness to ourselves in order to really approach the parenting process. And I hope that's something we're gonna talk about more in that daddy and like the, you know what I'm saying? But
and that's the thing. People be on that, and not because y'all, but like even on Instagram, people think, you know, whenever I post a baby that is, you know, nigga, she be in trouble half the time, you know what I'm saying? Like half the time she go up, she be in trouble. Like she on punishment. You know, and don't get me wrong, she is everything good in me, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? So this isn't so this isn't she is I can't imagine being in love with her any more than I am, right? But that being said, there's no such thing as parenting goals, dog. I tell any nigga all the time, dog, when you say something, you know, what's your advice? Nigga, just beat her. You can beat her loud, you can beat her wrong, whatever, but like, just the only thing that's gonna stop a kid from fucking with a parent is gonna be the parent. They gonna always come back. You get it wrong, they say, as long as you show up, they gonna always fuck with you. They gonna fuck with you all the time. They gonna, like, that shit don't go nowhere. it's the parent, like you said, running away. And whenever you hear that story, it's always, it's always some kind of projection of I wasn't good enough to be around you. And it's like there's no such thing as that.
Yeah. That's not what they said. That's what you said about
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
us leaning into our kids is, I think, the quickest way to like salvation for real. Because your child gonna keep you humble if you really leaning with your child.
Absolutely.
That's you, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you can really see who you were when you were young, and you're not blinded by your trauma and your hurt and your pain, you can be like, oh man, that's my little ignorant ass. That's my little
all the time.
That's my loud mouth ass. Like,
all the time.
That's I know everything, so I gotta come back for every fucking thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing myself in my child, so I have no choice but to be like, all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that's that piece where, like, parenting and fatherhood especially. That's what I want to say. Father's mother as well. And in that way, I mean in the term of what we see as fathers and what it means to provide, but the idea of what you're providing, the love, the nurturing, the emotional support, the like father's mother like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Just like
doing it right,
just like mother's father, like, you know what I'm saying? We can acknowledge Black women fathering, but I think that's a conversation I want to expound on further, is like the Black father, the Black men, their mother, and what it looks like for us in a culture that we have a very deep-seated history of Black men taking care of shit.
Absolutely.
And actually holding shit down.
Yeah.
We don't celebrate or talk about or explore enough because it's really non-traditional a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it look like granddaddy. It look like what is healthy patriarchal society?
It look like granddaddy, like you said. Go ahead.
Yeah, what does that granddaddy, big daddy energy look like?
Yeah, who at the house? Granddaddy.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, and that's some of the shit that I think gets lost in a lot of what we talk about. Like, how can we become those? How can we like sit with those archetypes? Like, what does it look like for us to actually like sacrifice maybe personal, fame to take care of some shit and really like move shit forward like the Black women do in our community? So I think that's my personal challenge to myself. It's like I always say I want to be that nigga. Like it was at the end of the day, like I want to be respected in that way, because that means that I've used my privilege as a Black man in my community to actually build some shit for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I can in turn mother and show what love and support and all that look like from a Black man, I can, you know what I'm saying? That's what my power is, personally. Like, niggas don't do that. Like, that's what a lot of us actually do. We just don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got so many partners in my life who are the backbones emotionally for everything in their life. Like, you know what I'm saying? They keep everything together. Like, they're the glue for their whole family. Mama, daddy, brother, sister, like wife, spouse. But those are conversations that we don't really talk about. And what it means for us to just be okay with being that too. Not on some like, oh my God, what was me shit. Like, nah, I take pride in that. I know I'm a blue. I know that's my role in my family, like, to be that. Like, so why run from it? It may not look like me being big boss dog with the bread right now. It may look a little longer. The road may be a little bit more winding. But at the end of the day, success for me looks like being able to make sure my little ones got some shit they can build off of. They got to stand on my back and jump forward. Like, I think about that regularly, often. If my little cousin, like, I got a 21-year-old cousin, that's my headache. I love her to death. But she is all of me in the like young generation. All the fly shit, all the young nigga shit. You know what I'm saying? Just in young and women form. So it's like, my goal is to make sure that you are confident in who you are out here. Yeah. Because, you know what I'm saying? Because I've shown you that as a grown-ass man, I'm still out here making mistakes. I'm doing what I do. I'm an artist. I'm a father. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing it, and I'm here, and I'm good. So, yeah, man, I think like that shit is important, bro.
Nick, if y'all still up on this motherfucker, dog, the last probably hour is completely like just off the rip, dog. We just like this. We just literally talking. You know what I'm saying?
Man, this podcast on these stupid, bro.
Yeah, like dog, we
crack that motherfucker up, John.
to talk to y'all two specifically, dog. We there. Like we've been doing this shit to figure out chemistry and build that shit, dog. We there. And so like This shit about to be crazy. So yeah, what we'll start doing, man, we'll start looking at like maybe if we do this shit on Wednesdays, maybe on Monday start going over like just hot points we could hit. Like just like current event shit, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the fuck. And we could do it like that. And then cause like I said, I don't want to die. Cause even the last hour, bro, we done went over like 5 different podcast topics. So what I don't want to do is dive so far into it to where we done already covered.
Because you know we could touch on so much shit in the frame of one topic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. But exactly, and I want to keep that. I don't want niggas to have to be like, damn, what I say about this shit. Like I want you to hold it
back then.
Yeah. So what we'll start doing, so we'll use current events as like prompts. And we just go off of that, do that kind of shit, man. But nigga, we heard.
Yeah.
We heard, dog, we heard, bro.
Hey man, we come for Audi Breakfast Club, Audi.
Hey,
I'm coming for you. Look, you know I'm be the nigga that gonna say it. We
you gonna be the nigga that's gonna say it.
You know,
I ain't fucking with that shit. Fuck them
hey
niggas,
man, I want some lunch, man. It's Leo season taking all this shit.
Yeah, dog, for real, man. If y'all was watching this shit, dog, the last probably hour, G, it's just been us talking. This ain't no script.
Yeah.
This ain't no topic. This ain't no like I'm shooting them niggas questions. Like it's just us rapping. So I had been I knew we could get to this point. I knew we could. We just had to keep building on it, which we've been doing. I mean, shit, we heard. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog, if we doing this shit just on some spontaneous motherfucking improv shit. Yeah. Nigga. Yeah. Wait till we get up in the motherfucking same room, bro. Wait till we get some motherfucking wings and some Hennessy, nigga.
Right.
Wow, look.
That's what I need. Like for real, yeah.
Nah, this shit gonna be special, nigga. For real.
Yeah.
This
shit, man.
This shit gonna be special. Niggas ain't gonna know what to do.
Yeah. Niggas still reserving their ratchet. We waiting.
Yeah. We waiting on Crystal, bro. We waiting on Crystal.
No, Chris. Look, me and Chris.
Y'all get me in the room. Y'all get me in the room with the lemon pepper hot and some Hennessy. Y'all gonna see it all, straight up.
Real,
you know, I'm in first of all, I'm sitting here hungry. I'm sober. So long as I'm very, conscious. But you get me relaxed. Oh yeah, y'all already know. Like y'all already know.
We on the south side, man. We're old Natale Flat Show. Got
Man, we on this. So be on the lookout, man. I'm gonna be down there ASAP, bro. We gonna kick this recording shit off. We're gonna do our motherfucking thing. So I mean, we still fuck with freestyle. You're gonna see us every motherfucking week, but nah, this shit right here.
Yeah. You know what? Fuck it.
What?
Yeah, I just thought about it. Next Wednesday is my birthday, but I wanna run that shit.
Nah, you sure?
Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all know in like a day, but I'm gonna be on wet cover.
So nigga, let us know on the day, then let us know on Sunday, then let us know on Tuesday, then let us know Wednesday afternoon.
Y'all, we know how you move.
Right. It's hard getting this nigga locked down on a regular motherfucker.
Yeah. Hour before I be in the goddamn mouse, so they'll be like, hey man, I'm at the goddamn reschedule this shit.
So yeah, nigga, keep us informed all the way leading to, nigga.
Yeah, I got you.
Fuck with your ass, nigga.
Yeah, man, I got y'all.
Damn. All right, man. So again, if y'all been watching this shit, y'all know who the fuck we be. Y'all know who the fuck we are, man. At Let's Be Crystal Clear, at The Trap Therapist. If y'all on this channel, y'all already follow the Free Roots, bro. We got some shit coming for that ass in a lot of different ways, dog. Again, appreciate y'all. Fuck with y'all. Love the support. Love the feedback. Love the comments. Somebody was like, they got that WAP and niggas is mad. Whoever said that, shout out. Big salute, man. I can't stress how much I fucking love y'all. How much I fuck with y'all. How much we appreciate y'all rocking with me. We wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't have came up with none of this had y'all not been pushing for it. Like flat out dead ass for real. So, man, shit wild, man.
We out you.
We out, man. We out. Fuck with it.
All right, y'all.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Yeah.